Welcome to Pensari Basketball Live. This is sobering. This is humiliating. I can't believe what I just watched. The Toronto Raptors lose to the Utah Jazz 126-119. How do you explain it? How do you explain what just happened to this Raptors team? It's not OG, it's not Scottie. Certainly offensively, they showed up. It's not Dennis Schroeder taking too many shots. It's not Jakob Poeltl not being playable. It's not Gary Trent Jr. off the bench. He showed up. He was a shot maker for the Raptors. It's everything. All of it. It's how this team goes through these droughts of extended dumb play. It's how this team connects defensively. How do you show up the way they did in the first quarter? Again, right? We've talked about it. Raptors, slow starts, bad starting lineup, etc. Certainly, I'm not excusing what this starting lineup is because ultimately it has lost and bled minutes all season. A couple of strong starts against two teams is not changing my mind on the starting lineup. It needs to change. But the slow starts and winning first quarters, the Raptors have accomplished that. But now they're finding a new way to lose. Late game collapses. Yesterday it happened in the second quarter. Today they lead wire to wire, but apparently they forgot that the wire is not over until it's over. And you could really start to feel that defense offense collapse right around the start of the fourth quarter. Actually, it was right around the end of the third quarter. And it just started to happen. I can't tell you that they played a great third quarter. I think they got away from a lot of the stuff that was working for them. Almost every single play to start the second half was for Dennis Schroeder and Pascal Siakam, almost like a, hey, we got this win in the bag. Let's everybody kind of round out our numbers. Hyper individualism is a problem for this team. You can't blame any of the usual culprits for tonight's loss. They shot 40% from three. So it wasn't the three-point shooting. Scottie showed up, in a really big way. He had 24 points in the first. He had 17 points in the first quarter, and it just went down from there. Every quarter, it just kind of, the production went down, the touches went down. And then by the time it was the fourth quarter and he started to attack the rim like Giannis, it was just too late. The game was over. I think he deferred a little too much. Maybe it was a little, I don't know. I'm headed for a 50-point game. Let me undercut myself, as I often do, and defer to Precious Achiuwa a lot. Let me give the ball to Dennis Schroeder and Pascal Siakam. Let's round it all out. Why does he do this? Why does he do this? As much as I want to sit here and say it's all on Siakam for shooting the way that he shot and defending the way that he shot, the way that he defended for that shot on, for that 3-point foul on Jordan Clarkson. There's something about like Scottie in these high scoring outbursts where he just starts to become very generous. It's like, it brings me back to that old story by David Thorpe where he couldn't visualize 25 points. It's uncomfortable for him. I don't want to psychoanalyze him, but it's weird, man. They didn't have an answer for you. Walker Kessler ain't stopping you. Lauri Markkanen has no hope. There's nothing. Why are you giving the ball to Precious Achiuwa and Pascal Siakam and Dennis Schroeder and you're just trying to get them involved? It's almost like he looked up after the first quarter, saw 17 points, 12 shot attempts, and was just like, whoa, that's not me. Let me get everybody else involved. I appreciate selflessness. It's so weird, but at some point, the selfless thing to do is to save role players from themselves. It's something that I've said numerous times. Scottie Barnes could have had 45 points tonight, and what he's going to have to realize at some point is his team probably needed it. I liked OG Anunoby's game tonight for the most part, offensively. He was efficient. He made his threes. He's been really struggling from there. Jakob Poeltl getting 21 minutes, man. Chris Boucher, provided something in transition. He was efficient, but weirdly enough, it's hard to be critical of a guy who went 3 for 3 from the field. But it's like when he came onto the court, man, it felt like the movement just dipped. He and Precious Achiuwa stopped the ball so much. Dennis Schroeder stops the ball a lot. There's so many times where you'll see a wide open pass to either Siakam streaking backdoor, or Scottie has an advantage in transition, and Dennis is just like, he just milks it. He just stops, and then he makes a pass. And by the time he makes the pass, 4 seconds have ticked off, all your advantages are gone, and suddenly OG is trying to dribble against 3 defenders. What was the point? I do want to say this super chat here, Ken Boat. Thank you so much for the super chat. I laughed. I nearly spit out my water when this happened. I mentioned on yesterday's live that I'm sick and tired of Dennis Schroeder rolling the ball up the basketball court. And I was like, at some point, someone's going to steal that ball from him, and no one's going to let him hear the end of it, because he does it all the time. And never to the team's advantage. It's almost never to the team's advantage. There are very select few moments in a basketball game on the professional level where you want to roll up the basketball. And almost all of them involve you being a good half-court offense, which the Raptors are not. Allowing the other team to set up for an extra 8 to 12 seconds as you roll the basketball up because you're not a natural point guard is so selfish, it's ridiculous. Even with 5-6 seconds left on the clock to end the half, there was no sense in doing that. Run it up. You'll find an advantage. Instead, his teammates just sit there. They run their action. They run their primary action. And then they're just like, wait a second. He's not even up the court. So then everyone just kind of stands around and waits for him to cross the half court line. If he's going to pass the ball ever, it's almost always going to be the wrong guy. This is not a point guard, bro. He's not a point guard. He's not a point guard. Now, it's a little bit of a doomed if you do, doomed if you don't kind of situation with Dennis Schroeder, because if he's not a point guard, which he often isn't, well, then what is he? He is a inefficient guy who runs off the ball, who's undersized. His point of attack defense has been highly overrated. He's a mismatch nightmare on the other side because he can't score in the paint. So any of this advantage of shiftiness and getting, past this guy with his first step, it's almost always resulting in a below average efficiency shot at the rim. He's a below average secondary creator. I don't give a shit what the assist numbers say. I see this guy milk and lose advantages every freaking day. He was not the only problem tonight, but it's a compounding of problems. Like, I understand Otto Porter can't play on back-to-backs, man, but you could have used him tonight. Some steadying force, a guy who's not jumping at everything defensively. The Raptors are jumping at everything defensively, and they're giving clear blow-bys. They made Jordan Clarkson look like Michael Jordan. He couldn't stop him. Dude went off for 30 points. On the night after you give up, you make NBA history. The Raptors last night were the first team in NBA history to have an opponent who had 3 players with 30 points and 7 assists. First team in NBA history. It's the first time 3 players have had 30 points for the Sixers since they moved to Philadelphia. They've been in Philadelphia my whole life. I'm 36 years old. You do the math. This is crazy. The Raptors were up huge. This game was in the bag. And they just pissed it away, trying to preserve a lead. I don't like Patrick Beverley, yo. But it's like sometimes I'm waking up and I've got this guy in my head rent-free saying, no dogs. No dogs. When I look at my dog, I think to myself, the Raptors don't have you. You are a dog. The Raptors do not have any dogs. This is fucking embarrassing, yo. This is embarrassing. I want to close down the Twitter account, close down the YouTube account. Like, this game is, I want to say it's rock bottom, but it's not rock bottom, yo. It's not rock bottom, because this team is, honestly, I've been saying it for a week and a half now. If there's one team that is going to snap this Pistons losing streak, it is the Toronto Raptors. Yo, I want to trade done. I'm not trying to be impulsive, and I'm not trying to say this. You realize, if you've been a member of the channel, listening to the channel, I've been asking for a trade for over a year and a half to 2 years now. This isn't working. You can't lose at home on the heels. The Raptors are 5-10 in their last 15. This is so bad. The defense is not connected. The offense goes through bouts of confusion where guys don't know where they're cutting to. I think that entire sequence in correct me, I think it was the start of the fourth quarter, were 4 3-pointers in a row, and it was just like one in, one out, boom, boom, boom. Just no movement. 3, 3, 3. It was terrible. And you just know if Otto was playing, that wasn't going to happen. And if Javon was playing, that probably wasn't going to happen. And if Christian Koloko was playing, that probably wasn't going to happen. But unfortunately, you have guys like Chris Boucher, Precious Achiuwa, Gary Trent Jr., who have very questionable shot selection. And having one of those guys on the court as a play finisher is okay. But you're asking guys who are almost exclusively play finishers to be play creators for you. And they don't know how to create for anybody but themselves. This is sad. It's just sad. I don't know what else to say. It's sad. We will have a few callers on. We have, okay. I don't know if you've called in before, but James Barron. How you doing, James?
Rob, I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm sad. I'm a sad Raptor fan right now.
That was a hard game to watch, man.
That
was a hard game to watch.
During Christmas. We're not going to have it before Christmas. This is the laughing.
This is the coal in the stocking, man. Like, holy cow. But I actually called in because Scottie had an awesome first half. He had an awesome first half, man. And in the second half, whether it was rotations, whether it was him not finding it, he should have been going out there and saying, "This is my lunch." And he missed it. But I'll say this to that. I hope that Darko has the sense to say, let's look at this in film.
Mm-hmm.
Let's take some time to see where you can take this game back over again. And whether we see it this year or next year, that's that next leap in my mind. That's that thing where Scottie's like, I can score anytime I want, but I want to get my teammates involved. But in the second half, he was trying to get his teammates involved when he should have been just saying, all right, let me get into the middle of the court and take this over and find a way to get us back in this, slow this momentum down that Utah's building. I love Scottie. He's my favorite player, man. So I'm not talking negatively from that point. I'm seeing that as a constructive development in his future.
No, you're right. I think he needed to chase it more. And if he looks back on this game, he'll probably realize that, yeah, he should have. And he could have been a force.
Yep.
And the problem is, unfortunately, whether you're Scottie Barnes or you're Nikola Jokic or whoever you are, at some point, if you keep scoring, the other team is going to start doubling you.
Yep.
At which point, you're going to have to give it up to somebody.
Yep. I agree.
Right? So there has to be a second player that can do what you can do to some extent, which is dribble, pass, create, shoot, finish. Right?
Yep.
And tonight, that player for, the Jazz was Jordan Clarkson. The question is, where's the Raptors version of Jordan Clarkson? Right?
Yeah.
I don't see a player like Jordan Clarkson on our team. That's not to say that I don't think Pascal Siakam and all these guys are not better than Jordan Clarkson. Of course they are. But I'm not seeing a guy who's like a 3-level scorer who can get to the rim, dribble, create, is shifty as a pick and roll ball handler. The skill set is very important, and the Raptors need it.
But it's more than that too, man. Like, there was a game probably 6 weeks ago. No, 6 games ago. I'm sorry. where Scottie in the second half, I can't remember which game it was. I'm not a deep diehard fan. I'll watch the game and I'll be like, damn, that sucked, or that was really good.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember which game it was. In the second half, he was in with the subs. He was in with the bench. And they blew it open. And I kept thinking to myself, what if he had smart players, high IQ players that knew where to go instead of him having to dictate where everyone was going, that could do the things that were possible and hit the shots they were supposed to make. And we're probably like a Pascal and OG trade away from getting those pieces that can fit around Scottie in those moments to make a huge difference for us. That can take his -5 in a game where he was dominant and make him a 20.
No, I agree. And I think the pieces need to fit a little bit better. But ultimately, you know, this team just gave up on defense. You know,
Happy holidays, everyone. This is vodka.
nice. I haven't drank a lick of alcohol in months now, but
good for you, man.
I probably should like go out and
at
find
this point,
LCBO and just like down a tub of vodka.
Oh man, at this point, it dumbs the pain for sure.
Oh man, it's so sad though. I mean, look, I think the defense is awful. Just to allow the Jazz to score 41 points the way they scored it. A lot of those shots were wide open at the rim. Like, yeah. Alexander Sima saying this live won't criticize the coach, will it? Dude, what do you want the coach to do with this? Who is he supposed to go to? What is he supposed to do? Is he supposed to strangle his players? Is it supposed to be like a reverse Latrell Sprewell where, you know, like, what do you want him to do? I mean, guys are not communicating. Guys are not calling out screens. Guys are not getting over screens. I'm seeing Pascal Siakam literally close out of control, fall out of bounds, and then basically give up on the play and allow his team to guard 4-on-5.
If I may add to that, Rob, real quick.
Sure.
It's not a morale issue. It's a focus issue. It's a smarts issue. Darko's building the morale. He's building the growth.
Sure. I mean, look, he's had positive contributions to Precious Achiuwa's performance this year. Malachi Flynn's performance this year. Scottie's performance this year. Right. And I'm sure Chris Boucher, he's actually regressed quite a bit this year, actually.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, like so, you know, if his goal was to kind of come in, and I mean, also OG, I know the numbers haven't looked great for OG, but his offensive development in terms of the things he can do as a 3-level scorer, we're seeing a lot less of the clunky, you know, it still happens once or twice a game, but I'm seeing dynamic finishes from OG. I'm seeing quicker passes and playmaking from OG. So he's turning, you know, these kind of athletes, these long athletes like Precious Achiuwa and OG Anunoby into like, maybe within a year 3-level scorers who can create a little bit and can defend, and that's the most valuable player type in the league. The Raptors are basically card counters at the Vegas table right now. See, I look at upside of player prototypes, right? The highest upside player prototype is a 2-way wing who can create at 3 levels. It's by far, it's Jason Tatum, basically. Jason Tatum is your model blueprint for the greatest type of player. And if he was a better passer, he'd be an MVP. So basically, you're trying to create some version of that. Now, are you going to create that? I don't know. But certainly, Scottie has the best chance. But does OG have a chance to be Jason Tatum light? You know?
No.
You don't think so? Okay. Well, I mean, with some development, maybe he could be, because he's certainly as good a defender as Jason Tatum, if not a better defender. He's certainly got the shot. He just doesn't have the creativity. He has the size. Right. He has the strength. He has all of it. He just doesn't have that creativity and those reps. So that's my point. It's like, if you can create a team of Tatums, it's a very interesting team. You know, you can create a Scottie that's like a 95% Tatum, OG who's like a defensively oriented 60% Tatum, you know, Precious Achiuwa who's like a watered down, very power forward, center oriented version of Tatum. like, I'm just saying this player type, Luka, Tatum, etc., is the most valuable player type. Nothing you're going to do, like, and not to harp on Becky Hammond's comments about, being undersized in the NBA, but she's not wrong. People are going at her partially because sports is a very sexist place, I think, and people don't like women having strong opinions about men. But the truth is the truth. She's right. Undersized players do struggle in the playoffs historically. And if your best player is 6'1", 6'2", Jalen Brunson, as good as he is, it's just like with Steve Nash. It's just like with Isaiah Thomas, not Zeke, the other one. It's just like with Allen Iverson. You're going to eventually run into a team with a bigger player that can get more sure baskets at the sure offense in the playoffs. And so I think that at some level, the Raptors are hoping that one of these guys pops, because one Precious Achiuwa popping, like properly popping for you and developing, it's like the best type of asset in the league. It's your Pascal Siakams, right? So your Pascal Siakams, your OG Anunoby. So yeah, granted, like it's tough, but if you can get two or three of these guys to work, it's better than 17 Malachi Flynn's, right?
The only problem there is, like, you have two or three of those guys to work. They can't work together.
That is also it. So it's an asset farming system, right? Exactly. So basically, but so at that point, to the Raptors' discredit, once you drafted Scottie, then you ship out Siakam. That just made sense. It was logical. You already got like a 7-8 game preview of it without Siakam to start out Scottie's season. It worked out great. Instead, they wanted to hoard these guys and keep these guys. And that's, I think, where they've fallen apart, because what they don't realize is all of these guys struggle with the other guys on the court. I was just thinking about it yesterday, about how much last year, every single person, like if you think about it, who did the media blame last year? Scottie. Who did the fans blame? Fred. Who did management blame? Nick Nurse. All three are thriving this year. Everyone's thriving. Independent of each other, away from each other.
Really good observation.
So exactly. So if you look at it from that perspective, it's like too much of a good thing can be a bad thing. So, you have a guy like Pascal. I think he's struggling at points next to guys. Look at even someone like a Jakob Poeltl. Do I think a Jakob Poeltl, like let's say, for instance, Jakob Poeltl was in Boston instead of Kristaps Porzingis. I'm not saying they'd be better. I'm just saying they wouldn't be that much worse. Man, and because he's efficient. Pardon?
There's 5 or 6 balls every game where Hands of Stone Poeltl fumbles it. Every game.
Fair, but who's passing him the basketball? Is it Drew Holiday and Derek White, or is it Dennis Schroeder
and Scottie
and
Barnes?
Gary Trent? And yeah, again, Scottie's been off target a lot this year, in my opinion. But so again, like it's growing pains. It sucks to lose this game. It sucks so bad because there's no game. Like I know it's stupid to be sentimental about Christmas, but Christmas is big for me. I don't know why it is. And I just didn't want to go into Christmas with this taste in my mouth of not only having, and I mean, I also feel bad for these players too, right? Because they all have to go and now spend Christmas with their family, having just lost to the Utah Jazz.
A game they had in hand. A game they had. It was theirs. And they dropped it. Can I leave you with one last thought?
Sure.
Okay. One last thought exercise. You said 5 Jason Tatums or 5 Jaylen Browns.
I said Jason Tatums. I'm not really that big on Jaylen Brown. Okay.
So here's my question. You put 5 Scottie Barnes against 5 Jason Tatums in a game to 11. Let's go 11. Who wins? And that's where I'm leaving tonight. Rob, Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. I appreciate everything you do. The content you provide is amazing, man. Thank you.
Thank you so much, James. Cheers.
Yep.
Okay. Let's get Tonyius on here. Tonyius, what up?
Hey, good evening. I'm gonna have to make this a little quicker because I'm gonna just tell you exactly what happened tonight. I was thinking about watching the game, but then I thought, no, I have to change the oil to my car. And then I thought, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna change the oil to my car because why am I watching this fucking dog shit team? So I changed the oil to my car and score watched a little bit. And I thought, oh, okay, we're up by 16. Oh, all right, time to close off the cap, time to close off this. And I think they got this on hand maybe. Then when I got everything done and got the car running, make sure everything's fine. All right, it's all good. Okay, let's check the score. Oh my God, 2 minutes left and we're down by 6. What the hell happened? I don't know, but I wonder what's Siakam's count on his I. It must have been at least around 5, 6. I'm not sure. But yeah, well, call me the lady from Major League who owned the Cleveland Indians and wanted the team to lose. Call me whatever fan, because I've been a fan since I saw Will Smith in the Sky Dome watching rookie Allen Iverson. When I got those tickets, I don't know how. I was only 5 years old. I was only like 8 years old. So I've been that long as a Raptor fan, and this is the first time, like, really, I just don't even feel like watching any of the games this year.
You sat through the Mike James era.
Yep. The Mike James era was interesting. I mean, it's like, hey, we got a guy that scored 30-some, maybe he was closing in 40 points or something. And I thought, oh, okay.
Tonyius, I got to tell you, you might have been a bit of a dumb child if you thought Mike James
I was
era.
in university at that time. I think it was still, I probably was still like.
Bro, we're still watching one. Okay, first of all, it's not all doom and gloom. Number one, the only thing that makes this season really bad are two things. Number one, Grady's not playing. Number two, we don't have a draft pick. Okay, these are the two things. These are extenuating circumstances that have really nothing to do with the product you're actually watching on the court, but the context around the team. 11 saying Rob didn't answer him. I was thinking about it. I think a team with 5 Jason Tatums would be unstoppable. So, yeah.
It's like Jokic's would be unstoppable because they all will pass. They might not beat you in the fast break game.
A team with 5 Tatums would beat a team of almost 5 anythings because it's just unguardable. Like, the problem with this is, like, Scottie is a playmaker. He's then playmaking for who? Himself? Yeah. The problem with Tatum is he's also a phenomenal defender. Like, they're both really good defenders. They're both big. They're both wings. Tatum's just way further ahead in terms of skill. So,
well, they all can shoot. They all can shoot the threes. If you put all 5 of them, you're supposed to do a zone defense, and then you put like Tatum's in like the corner, the other corner, and then the wing, and then the center, and then they can all toss it in the bucket. So it's not like Curry, but hey, you can do that.
Not to distract from this, but this super chat here, have you mentioned Lofton yet? Yes, I spent a considerable amount of time today crying my eyes out. Just kidding. But at the idea of Kenny Lofton going on a 2-way contract.
Big boy Lofton, Sixers, yeah.
He's awesome. I really like him. I think this is stupid as hell. Like, the Raptors could use that level of talent. It's stupid. Anyways, this is a team that is leaking oil defensively. You might as well get a guy who could actually score some buckets and stretch the paint a little bit. Everyone makes points about his weight. Trust me, they've been doing it since college, high school, whatever. It hasn't stopped him. He won G League Rookie of the Year. All it's going to take is one coach to see past that. And I think he's just very talented. He's a very talented player. You just don't pass up on a 21, 22-year-old who's this talented. You just don't. So that's just my perspective on it. To the point of just, the Raptors season at large. Look, man, you're watching a 22-year-old ascend to becoming a top 10 player. This is a little bit like the Vince Carter era.
Yes.
I think Scottie has more of the winning stuff than Vince. It's just not as exciting to watch maybe as Vince. But if you're a basketball Puritan, you see the defense, you see the flashes of potential in terms of being a playmaker, and you just think to yourself, man, if he starts working on the skill even a little bit more, the shot gets a little bit further, by next year this could be a guy who's putting up 30, 15, and 10 on like the regular. So that's exciting.
Yeah, I think he's as important and as intangible. I think he probably is our Lowry, but you would just stretch him out and he might not draw as many charges, but I think in a way he kind of operates our floor kind of like a Lowry. But you have to you got to put pieces that can operate around him, more effectively than what the hell we have right now. I mean, Pirtle and those two
Certainly.
German speakers, not because they speak German, it's just, I thought they would have chemistry, but from the way and their skill set that they function, they're a mistake. They got to get out.
They have the chemistry of your car oil and my coffee. Okay.
Yes.
So yeah. Anyways, Tonyius, any final thoughts?
Yeah. Maybe I'm going to tell you, I'm going to just try to make it as short as possible, but I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a backstory on my last stream that was happening in Vegas. So I'll tell you what made me want to show my face for a little longer. So yeah, it was a loud room in that Caesar's Palace sports betting, but I'll tell you what happened about 2 hours ago. So only 40 feet away from where I was doing that stream to you, I was in a Texas Hold'em, and it was my first time playing Texas Hold'em in Vegas. So then it was like a $150 US entry to get into that Texas Hold'em room. I get randomly assigned to this table. So and then I just sat to the empty seat, and then I was hearing this voice on my right side, and it was sounding like
an NBA player, man. This better be an NBA player coming up to you.
It wasn't, but he had a career that was more successful than an NBA player, and $150 US was not even enough. It doesn't even go close to that value of who I was sitting beside. I was like, holy shit, because I heard a voice, and I kind of heard a voice like this, and I'm like, no fucking way, it's not him, is it? And I scanned him a bit. I was like, oh shit, I think it's him. And then every time I either folded or until I folded again, and then I just looked again, scanned him again. I'm like, it's like, oh shit. And then I tapped to the guy who was on my left because he was talking to him a lot, and I was like, yo, buddy, is that Ray Romano? And he says, oh yeah, that's Ray Romano. I'm his brother, Vic. Hey Ray, this guy just recognized you. Everybody in the table knew who he was. I'm like, oh shit. So, well, again, I had experience kind of with this a little bit because I was in the Edmonton airport, and then Ryan Smith was actually going to board my flight, but I tried to keep quiet because he had a youth hockey team with him. So then I just so I did the same thing. It's just be chill, because number one, it's now knowing he was beside me. I'm like, okay, do everything logical on your poker hands. Don't make stupid gambles. You want to be beside Ray Romano as long as possible. So I was like, okay. And then I managed to talk to him a couple of times, like, hey, what brings you to Vegas? And he says, I have a show at the Mirage just next door. And then I was like, oh, cool. And then I made a little joke like, oh, well, my dad was such a big Celine Dion fan. He was thinking maybe
Tonyius,
you think you could.
This is a Raptors podcast.
Yes.
Not a Ray Romano
sorry
podcast.
about that. I got a little carried away, but yeah, I was really hyped that day. That was the reason why.
Awesome.
Yeah, that was the reason why.
I'm really happy about that. I have met Ray Romano before. I've known people who've met him. He's a really chill dude and one of the most down-to-earth celebrities ever. So yeah. Thank you so much for calling in.
No problem.
Raptor fans probably could have used.
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you and everybody. Get your mind off this game. Raptors are on a break, not to break your hearts. So take a break. Doomsday could be, as you said, Doomsday could be December 30th when we play the Pistons, and we'll find out if it could trigger a trade and piss. And I hope it pisses off Masai and he just makes a trade because maybe we lose. So
I hope we make a trade before that. All right, peace, man.
Yeah.
Sure. Lira, thanks a lot for waiting, man. What's going on?
Dude, what? I had so much anger before listening to Antonio's story. I'm fully focused on what's going on, and then I'm hearing poker and this and that. I forgot every single thing I was going to talk to you about. Every single thing. I lost everything.
Bro,
I was
honestly,
pissed.
I mean, okay, first of all, I don't usually let people go off on extended tangents that are not basketball related. I try to cut it pretty quick because people don't have a ton of patience. But I figured, number one, he's quite charismatic. Number two,
he started off well.
He started off well. Number two, maybe we could use a little bit of distraction from the game that we just watched. So I mean, maybe all the anger and vitriol needed to fade away a little bit. I don't know.
No, I couldn't. I honestly, I lost my train of thought. It was a lot that has already been talked about. And if I was the first caller, I would have definitely gone on that. I think there's so many brainless. I watched the entire game. I think there were so many brainless plays that were just
Absolutely.
happening from. I think even before the fourth quarter, right? Like, I think around the second we started going away from the player that has 20 points in a quarter to everyone else for some reason, which I just did not understand. If Joel Embiid had 20 in a quarter, you are dishing the ball to him as fast as possible. So he'll pull every single defender towards him, make an advantage, and let's play ball. I just did not see that happening. And we just went further and further away from that. I'm yelling at the TV, sure, Gary is making tough shots, but why the hell are not, like, why can't he just make easy shots when we first get the ball to Scottie and have him just pass? He's a great passer. Get it to him. He'll pass it to you. He will pass it to you, and you will have a wide open shot rather than making tough, dumb shots. And that's what I've already watched the post game interview with Darko, and it's kind of the same thing where he's referring to not having Steph Curry on his bench. So he's kind of just like, hey, I'm gonna play who's there, and we're gonna have to do better. And that's kind of what he says every post game interview now. So that's kind of where I'm at.
I mean, if you take a look at the play-by-play to start the third quarter, I think it's valuable to understand this. So, first thing we do is Pascal Siakam makes a 2-point shot. Then Pascal Siakam defensive rebound. Pascal Siakam misses driving floater jump shot. Then Dennis Schroeder misses free throw 1. Raptors offensive team rebound. Pascal Siakam misses 12-foot jump shot. I mean, there goes your lead. You started at 55-71, which is a 16-point lead, and now you're at 13 points.
No, and there goes your advantage, because your primary, the player that is hot is not hot anymore. You've wasted the time that he's got a good feel for the ball, and you've taken it out of his hands.
No, I agree. Scottie
missed shots later. Like, that's fair. He missed open shots later. Like, that's okay.
Totally.
But, I'm just thinking, like, okay, if you don't have this guy in rhythm and you're giving it to him because you have no options left and he's got a shot and he's missing, I'm not mad at that, because now there's nothing and you've gone back to him after like 24 minutes. Yeah. It's too late.
Yeah, and I mean, like, there's a thing that I've been watching with the Detroit Pistons, right? And again, they're a great microcosm for, what happens to a team that loses faith in their process and loses faith in themselves. And I think confidence and swagger and all this stuff is a really important, thing in basketball. But this team constantly just feels like they are carrying something heavy, with them. They don't look to be having fun, or it's not joyous at all. When they're up like 10, there's almost like an anxiety of like, when are we going to start losing again? That's how I feel about the Pistons. You see, like with the Pistons, they could start a quarter off well. Maybe they're up like 12 points, rarely, but sometimes they're up like 8-9 points at the end of the first quarter. And you see the team on the bench after the first quarter, and they're just looking around like, which one of you is going to fuck this up?
Yeah. So they know they've lost 20, and there's just something about to come in.
Exactly. And that's the feeling of like, here we go again. Here we go again. Yeah. And I think of teams like Detroit. Like, I've been thinking about Detroit a lot today, and I've been thinking about how this team has lost as much as it's lost. And I realize it's not a Pistons pod, so I don't want to go into it too deeply, but I think that it applies loosely to what the Raptors are going through as well. I mean, the Raptors have not lost 25 straight, 26 straight, but the Raptors have not won a single game against their division this year. That's a shocking stat. I mean, their division is stacked, but they haven't won a single game against the Atlantic Division this year. They're 0-8 or 0-9. So I think there's some element of here we go again going on with this team, right? Where that wasn't the case when they had Kawhi. It certainly wasn't the case when you had Kawhi, because
you knew where to go. You just knew
number
where to
one,
go.
You knew where to go, and you had the confidence that a 2-point game wasn't a loss.
No.
See, it's almost like the Raptors are, they're starting out the game under 15 or under 18. So by the time the team comes back, it almost feels like the other team is up by 20. You know what I mean? I don't know if that makes sense, but it's like playing loose and confident versus playing heavy and constricted. The Raptors play heavy and constricted.
Yeah,
They
our
string
margins,
together mistakes. When they miss a shot, it's almost likely they're going to make
no,
a
it's the end of the
turnover
world.
or miss a shot.
Our margins
Exactly.
are razor thin.
Exactly. And so that old Patrick Beverley quote, which he keeps tweeting out every time the Raptors play them, which is just, it's ultimate trolling gone way too far. Way too far, Patrick Beverley. You didn't even fucking play the game. He didn't even play in the game last night, man. He didn't even dress. And he's still trolling the Raptors. But he's right.
He is.
See, the dog, like the real dog, is the guy who can actually withstand that. That's the mental toughness element of it, right? They spent so much time trying to make sure that they didn't get any guys with character issues. They actually don't have guys with character, period.
That's nice. That's a good one. I like that.
It's I'm not trying to be poetic or cute with words. It's the truth. Like
No,
they don't have someone who can scream at a Pascal Siakam to pass the fucking ball. They don't have someone who can just go up to Dennis Schroeder and just be like, if you do that motherfucking thing again, we're gonna have a problem outside, motherfucker. But yo, Rasheed Wallace would have done that for you. Ron Artest would have done that for you. Serge Ibaka might have done that for you.
He would have yelled. He would have gone, Kawhi. We have a Kawhi. He has 20 points. What are you doing? If you're drawing in a player and then you're taking a bad shot, what the hell are you doing?
Kawhi is the ultimate dog. He is quiet confidence. He is Terminator confidence, right?
Yeah,
so
he doesn't need to do that.
He's not gonna put up with you like doing dumb shit, right? Like if you don't pass him the ball and he's open, you will hear about it on the bench. Like, and that's the point. It's like Scottie's got to be that for this team because they don't have that anywhere else.
I think
he's got to be that guy. And they got to empower him.
When he eventually will be, I think, if he stays, right? If we actually put some good pieces around him and he stays and he feels like there's actually something happening, I think he will be. He's a loud person from day one, right? But you have got these 30-year-olds that are still in. You have got a Otto Porter and Garrett and Thad sitting there. He's not, these guys. These are the guys that your front office has put in to play and said, you're going to listen to these people. You're not going to listen to Scottie, right? He's a younger player. Cool. He's the best player. But those are your talking voices right now. But I think right now, yeah, we're not going to see that until those guys are gone. It's good to have them, right? It's good to have them for everybody. I agree. That was a good move. But there's 3 of them. 1 would be fine. 1 Udonis Haslem is enough. We don't need 3 of them. Taking up 3 bench spots. But yeah, like, I think it'll eventually happen, but not.
You need some tough love. You need some real toughness on this team. Jama and Darko aren't it. Like, this is why I was such a big proponent for Ime Udoka early on in the process, because that dude is dog. He is dog. I don't like Dylan Brooks as a basketball player, but he's a dog. Like,
yeah, but he didn't want to come.
You need to
Toronto.
import who didn't.
Ime Udoka. He didn't. He said no, right?
Because our media space is too woke.
Oh,
that's what it was.
I gotcha.
Our media types are too woke, too beta, to like anytime something would go wrong with this team, I guarantee you these guys like Will Lou and Aaron Rose would be like, well, this is what you get for having a coach that cheated on his wife or some shit like that. You know what I mean? Like they have that energy about them. This is a very weird city. I think most liberal cities are like this, to be honest. Yeah.
Man, this sucks.
All right. Any final thoughts, man?
I can't wait for you to go over the interviews. They're good. And what else? I think they need a.
Who else did a presser tonight? It was just Darko?
Pascal. I saw 2. I saw
Pascal did one tonight.
Yeah. Pascal was in tonight. He seemed
what? Pascal after a loss, after he played poorly. This has never happened before. Not this year. Not once.
I don't even know if I'm gonna get on Pascal for that. Like, it's like a collective. It's in the air when like you don't do basic things in ball where you draw a player and you pass. If you can't do that, you're not gonna create an advantage. Everyone's gonna take tough, shitty shots, and then they're not gonna go in and you're gonna lose a lead and then blow it on defense because you've just seen someone do a dumb thing on offense. You're gonna be like, all right, why am I here? It translates, right? Everything is connected.
On offense, like I'm used to Pascal Siakam having some dog shit moments on defense.
Yeah.
But lately, at least he's making it up on offense. Tonight, he was crap on both ends. He was very bad on both ends. He was missing gimmies. He left at least 10 points on the board, man. And at least 12 points defensively, I could directly attribute to him. So that's like a 22-point swing in terms of makeable, like floater range, wide open shots that you're just blowing, right? I mean, it's crazy. Someone say, Jason saying Lauri gave him the business. Lauri Markkanen not a good defender. Got news for you, man. Lauri Markkanen not a good defender. Jordan Clarkson not a good defender. Half that team is not a good defender. Like where I felt like the game really changed, honestly. Now here's something interesting. I'm actually going to pull this up. There's going to be a little bit of statistical analysis after we talk to Jet. But yeah, like I was looking at teams that Pascal has struggled against this year, and there's a whole bunch of games where a whole bunch of teams where he's not getting his 20 points per game, right? And they almost all have something interesting in common. I'm gonna pull it up on the screen and tell me if you can tell me what those teams have in common. Hold on a sec. Here. So these are the teams that Pascal Siakam does not average 20 against. Brooklyn, Chicago, Cleveland, Denver, Milwaukee, Minnesota, Orlando, Philadelphia after 3 games, and San Antonio. What do they all have in common?
Is it size? Do they have size?
Yep. They have a ton of size. There's Rudy Gobert. They have a big shot blocker. And you know what the Jazz have? They have a big shot blocker in Walker Kessler. And it makes them think, right? So, I mean, I know the Pascal Siakam kryptonite is long players, right? Now, against a team like Indiana, which has a Miles Turner, who often like is a little bit, he's a good shot blocker, but he's not attacking Miles Turner. He was getting a lot of his business when Miles was not in the game, and he was attacking Obi Toppin and guys of that nature. So I just think like teams that have really good defenses tend to be like Pascal Siakam kryptonite, and naturally you can see his big outpourings are against the teams with the most horrible defenses. Indiana 36, Washington 39. Those are the 2 teams that he's averaging over 30 against. Miami, I don't think Bam played that game. Did he? I don't think he did. So
now what if this was a team of Tatums, right? That was the question earlier.
Yep.
Yeah, like wasn't that what we were trying to build with the whole 6'9", everybody 6'9" dream?
Well, that's the whole point.
Yeah, but we don't, right? I don't think that will happen at all. I think it'll have to be structured around a player that will, attract defenses so that advantages can be made. I don't think it'll be like I think if that's the case, then that's what will happen tonight, right? When everybody's just trying to think, okay, even though a person has 20, I'm going to try to make my own shot. I'm going to, go in on my own and see if I can, like Chris Boucher and Precious. Like, don't get me started on that. It's just so dumb watching them play. I don't know what they see on the court. Well, like, and I'm an amateur just watcher, right? I haven't been here for years, right? And even I see, I'm like, all right, you got 2 players in. There's a player right there. Pass it out. Why are you taking this dumb shot? So we don't have a team of 6'9" Tatums or 6, however tall he is. So I don't think we should. Who he is? Yeah. Okay. Well, we don't have to like that. Doesn't exist. There's one Jason Tatum, and they have a team.
But the point was trying to build players in that archetype because it is a very valuable archetype.
You need a brain for that. Yeah. Skills aside.
That's fair.
These guys don't have the skills, but you need a brain for that. When you know that you can make an advantage besides just having skill, then
I think the Raptors are trying to create like you look at a Desmond Bane, right? Late first round pick. You look at Devin Booker. Now people don't realize this now, but Devin Booker was a fringe middle first rounder, right? He's not like he's become more. Mikal Bridges, end of lottery guy, right? So Darko Rajakovic has experience with talent level, which is mid first round talent level, which is not quite Scottie, Tatum, Jaylen Brown, like primo.
No, but it's like a Josh Hart, right?
Right. So you're trying to create like well-rounded players who have the athletic profile to project as valuable starting level contributors as an asset base. So a Precious Achiuwa who can shoot, dribble, and pass is like a $25 million a year player that you got for almost nothing, right? There's a value to that. If you can develop it, if you can crack it, if you can teach it, if you get guys in the gym, like what is Fred VanVleet? I mean, Fred VanVleet's a really bad example of, valuable player archetypes. He's not the most valuable player archetype. But the point is, you have guys who are undervalued for one reason or another, and then you can develop them. And this theory of being able to develop players like Pascal Siakam and OG Anunoby into, I mean, think about it. OG Anunoby was a 20. Yeah, but
we're out of that now. I don't think we have that anymore.
But that culture that existed that allowed those guys to develop with the leadership, the winning, the playoff runs, the accountability, the scouting staff, the training staff, the drama, the leadership. That was what?
That was hope, right? You look at, you said we come into the game with a weight on us already. It wasn't there before. It was real hope.
Yeah, I mean, weirdly enough, even in the Dwayne Casey era, there was always an era of like, when are we going to choke it? Like in the playoffs. But against most teams, it didn't exist. It was just LeBron, pretty much, right?
Yeah.
But like, yeah, there's no swagger, there's no, toughness. That just, you just have a whole bunch of guys who feel neutered. They feel kind of neutered. They don't have the grit. Like it's how do you allow a team like the Utah Jazz to come in and score 41 points in the fourth quarter in a game that you desperately need on your home court with your home crowd cheering you on and begging you to not lose this? Like, how do you do that? You have to be gutless. You have to be really gutless to do that. Anyways, Lira, any final thoughts, man?
No. I'm out.
All right, man. Peace. Have a good one. Cheers. Okay, Jet, what's up?
How are you, man?
Not too bad.
Are you getting an echo by any chance?
Yes, I am.
Okay, hold on a second. How about now? No?
Still a little bit echoey. Do you have a microphone or do you have headphones or something? I mean, I'm not hearing an echo. It's that I'm not hearing myself. It's just you sound very muffled.
So you can hear me now?
I can hear you. You just don't sound very good.
I don't know. I think my brain's gone messed up from watching the game.
Okay.
You remember that you watched Die Hard, obviously, right?
Have I watched Die Hard?
Yeah, have you seen it?
Okay, so here's a really embarrassing thing. I watched it a very, very long time ago. I think I watched it when I was 7 or 8 years old. I haven't watched it.
You might have remembered that. Maybe you remember the scene. You know when John McClane is stuck in that little vent? He's like, "Come out to the coast. We'll get together, have a few laughs." And he has the lighter on. Remember that? Or no?
Sure.
Okay. Anyways, that's
it's a very famous scene. Yes.
That's Masai getting fleeced by Dennis and Darko. That's pretty much it.
I think he and Darko are on the same page, if I'm being completely honest. Like, I think they're trying to do the same thing. Yeah, I'm not.
It's okay. Don't worry. What I was going to say is that this is a Festivus miracle because it's Festivus. So the Festivus miracle is that the Raptors lose. And the Christmas miracle from you is you're doing a live stream. And that's pretty much it. And that Darko's coaching sums up to him taking a timeout 22 seconds at the end of the game. For no point, for no reason.
Fair enough. Yeah.
I mean, you're not going to get anything. We can give like a lot of people obviously needed Nick Nurse to go. That's fine. But you put this team with Nick Nurse right now, you would have, you would have got a win. You would have done what the necessary adjustments to make the win happen. Again, this is like embarrassment, right? So like this is the most embarrassing loss, and I don't think Darko's equipped to coach NBA team. I would rather put Jama as interim, and then maybe just try to push for what's that Kings assistant coach,
Jordi Fernandez.
Yeah, I think you should go for him. But Masai has too much of an ego, and he doesn't want. He's not ready to. He's not.
I want to ask a serious question. Apart from the lineups, what is your specific issue with Darko Rajakovic? Do you think the offense is unevolved? Do you think players not being held accountable?
I don't think he's holding the players accountable. All he's giving them is the positives. These players, mind you, yes, they're international players. positive reinforcement can help. But if you're only giving, obviously we don't know what's going on in the locker room, right? Positive reinforcement doesn't always bode well for certain type of players, and sometimes they need the negatives to make sure that they are going to, focus on what they need to work on. But
here's the thing. Here's something that I've sort of realized in just listening to the Twitter reactions to Darko, Masai, and everybody. Really, it's so collective, the issue. I've watched a lot of teams struggle early trying to implement a new offense, etc. There are a lot of good things that the Raptors have done over the last 27, 28 games, right? There are a lot of positive things. They wanted to implement a new offense. 2.5 to 3 quarters every game they have. 1 quarter, they all lose their minds and they go back to their old shits and their old habits, right? I think the defensive identity and scheme started out a lot more promising than it was last year.
Yeah.
It's fallen off a cliff because guys are not executing. But I think the theory behind the defensive identity of this team is much better. At the end of the day, Darko did not sign a center who can't shoot. He comes from Europe. He comes from Serbia, a country which is known for teaching centers and center prospects how to shoot as early as age 8. Okay, when we have a tall kid who's 6 feet, who's nearing 6 feet around the age of 10, we almost always teach them how to shoot first. That's how players develop. So if he could have a do-over with Jakob as a youth prospect, he would have taught him how to shoot 100%. So I'm just saying, one thing that I've realized listening to this fan base talk about what's happening right now, granted, I'm also guilty of it because of all my Dennis vitriol and all of my, shouldn't have traded for Jakob vitriol, and maybe even some of my Masai and Darko criticism. One thing I've realized is people really don't like positives. Like, they don't like hearing a coach say, "We tried, it didn't work, I'm proud of our guys." We don't like hearing that.
Yeah.
Because we want the anger that we are feeling reflected in the coach. So what we want Darko to come out and say is, Dennis is a fucking, ball hog, and Chris Boucher doesn't have 2 brain cells to rub together, and Precious Achiuwa is the dumbest basketball player in the fucking history of, any sport anywhere, and should probably be shipped off to the G League, and Grady is trash, and I wish I had Jordan Hawkins, and Scottie Barnes needs to be more selfish, and Pascal Siakam needs to be traded, and OG Anunoby needs to learn how to dribble a fucking basketball, and fuck all the refs. Like, we just want a coach to come out and blow shit up. But those coaches never last, number one. Number two, those coaches make people very cagey and defensive. It often becomes really difficult. You need to pick and choose. I've talked to a lot of people about what makes a successful NBA coach, people who would know. And one of the things they always said was, it's all about teaching and trust. This is the number one thing that most coaches struggle with at the Division I level and also at the NBA level, which is, how do you keep people's attention and focus so that they pay attention when you're asking them to do things that they may not necessarily want to do? So whether that means a role adjustment, whether that means, lineup adjustments, whether that means telling a player he's not going to play for a month, whether that means, sending a player down to the G League, if that player doesn't trust you, then it's not going to matter what you're saying to them. See, this is the whole point of understanding this human communication. And see, I don't get this. Implicitly, I have had to learn this the hard way, that if people don't like you, what you're saying to them doesn't matter.
Yeah,
it doesn't fucking matter. So you don't have a relationship with Pascal Siakam to call him out right now. Nick Nurse did last year. He didn't do it. When Siakam coasted on defense, I don't have insight into like what Nick Nurse and Pascal Siakam's private relationship was like, but I didn't see him getting benched. So there, I'll say, you know what? You're the coach who has a 8-year relationship with this guy. You actually have the relationship with this guy to call him out, bench him, whatever. Masai has that relationship with Pascal. Darko does not. Darko has to build these relationships from scratch, which is the toughest part of being a first-year head coach, is trying to build these relationships from scratch. The one player he does have an established relationship with, which is why I've been very critical, is Dennis Schroeder. If there's one player he could go to and be like, yo, you're fucking up real bad, you need to change, that's Dennis Schroeder. And I worry that him not doing it with him is setting a bad tone. I wish he would. And you know what's funny? After the Miami game, so let me flash Dennis's games. So this is every game but the game he just played. This is Dennis Schroeder in December. Look at his box plus minus. Everything is negative. Negative in New York, negative in Miami, overwhelmingly negative in Miami. But you will notice something if you really go and track his usage after that Miami game. It went down a lot. His shot attempts went down. His minutes started to go down a little bit. And so you're noticing that, hey, like he fucked up really big. He was given a huge opportunity by this coaching staff, but also this front office. You know, Darko doesn't have the kind of pull with Masai and Bobby to be like, yeah, well, this is my point guard. I want this guy. He doesn't have that kind of pull. You know, the truth is they talked to Gabe Vincent. Gabe Vincent wanted to go to LA. There was one point guard really left on the market by the time Fred VanVleet made his decision, and that was Dennis Schroeder. And they thought, great, 2 years, stopgap solution. Let's figure it out. You know, if you listen to Darko talk, he says that Dennis has been really big for Malachi. I have no idea if that's true, but I have no reason to believe he's lying. He's technically outperforming his performance from last year. Dennis Schroeder is playing better than he was last year, which gives you an idea of how shit he was last year.
Yeah.
Okay. So at the end of the day, what are we so angry at Darko about? Why not be angry at Pascal Siakam for not rotating? Why not be angry for OG Anunoby for not fucking like being a great defender, which he clearly is and is capable of the last 6 games, allowing his defense to just tank? Why not be, you know, more critical of, you know, Jakob Poeltl and his, you know, butter fingers in terms of turnovers? Like Darko's not asking him to turn the ball over. If you and I are playing pickup basketball and I pass the ball to you and you just decide to not catch it, it's not my fucking fault. You know, at some point it's on you. If every time I pass to you, you chuck it from 45 feet, that's not offense. That's not my fault. At some point, you're basically forcing me to freeze you out of the offense because you cannot be trusted with the basketball. But then I got to bench you. I got to have that relationship with you. So, look, it's a tough situation for any first-year head coach to be in where the team is expected to win. It's not like, you know, Dwayne Casey in Detroit last year where everyone's like, okay, fuck up as much as you want, you know, or Steven Silas in Houston last year. No, there are some actual expectations that this team is supposed to win because we've got a front office that gave away a first-round pick for Jakob Poeltl. So the vitriol should be for them, because right now, if you remove that one factor of Jakob Poeltl being on this team plus the pick being, you know, exported out, number one, you don't have a center who can't shoot on your books for the next 4 years. Maybe you're a little bit happier. Number two, you're tanking right now. You'd be tanking. You'd be like, holy shit, that's great. Scottie's playing amazing. Malachi's showing life. Precious is showing life. And we suck. And we're tanking, which is exactly what we were calling for last year. My point is, the extenuating circumstances that's frustrating fans has nothing to do with Darko at all, other than his lineups.
Yeah, you got a point. Yeah, but I guess the main, when it comes down to it, there's no direction. And probably the players are just as confused as us. Where are we going? If we're losing, we don't have a pick.
I don't think that they're that confused. I think, and the reason they're not that confused is because they have a coach who's communicating with them constantly. Now, if people are telling me that today he threw the bench under the bus in the post game, I have yet to see it myself, and I'm not going to believe somebody saying something about somebody that unless I watch it myself. But when we watch it, if he indeed did throw the bench under the bus, then he's really lost the plot. You know. But yeah, like, I mean, look, it's frustrating when your team comes out and it's worse than you expected it to be. The Raptors are 7 games under 500 right now. That's hard to believe. They are 6th from the bottom, which means if the draft were to happen right now, they'd keep their pick. That's good. That's a positive, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think I've lost my mind from how bad this team is, to be honest.
I mean, now, like, yeah, I lost my mind too. I think maybe the only thing we should just hope for. Look, I don't think anything's gonna happen at trade deadline. I think Masai's gonna keep on to these guys in the set. He's gonna have that blind sense of, oh, I can keep everybody and I'll talk to them in the summertime, and summertime's when is the best time to do deals. It's gonna happen again. I don't think I'm gonna get my hopes up. The best thing we could do is let Darko maybe put Dennis in bench for 1 or 2 games and just let Scottie run the point and see how he does. Because if we're going to let Scottie cook, and if it's going to increase his chances of growing, just let him play point guard, man. He really wants to. You know he does. And I think he can get enough pull because he's proven himself at least this year. Maybe last year, no, but then he won Rookie of the Year, so he has potential. Let's let him do it. Like, I mean, what's the harm now? Let's at least have something to be excited about this potential superstar. Everything else is going to crap, you know? I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I mean, I think there's a lot of blame to go around. I think that's it's a very nuanced, probably maybe too nuanced, but I think there's a lot of blame to go around. I think it's the roster construction, it's the reluctance to make a trade, it's the lineups. So like you can say it's on everybody. But if one thing adjusts, everything is okay. It's so funny. Like the defense today, if the defense just held water and just didn't drown, I feel like it would be okay. Right?
Yeah.
If the roster construction had a big who could shoot as opposed to a big who couldn't, then I think everything would be okay. If Fred VanVleet had come back, weirdly enough, in place of Dennis Schroeder, you're probably comfortably over 500 because that's the gap between those two players. I didn't want him back, especially not at that salary. But certainly, these are all things that are outside of Darko's direct control, right?
Okay.
If you could look at a guy like Precious Achiuwa or Chris Boucher, why has their shot diet and shot selection not improved? They constantly lead momentum shifting, outbursts for the other team. The other team gets a dunk, it starts to pump the entire team full of energy. You can't allow these sort of like turnover, leak out, dunk type of plays, because momentum is easily lost and very hard to get back. And the Raptors gave up momentum a lot, so yeah, it's like all over the place. But like, why why is Malachi Flynn as bad as he's been for the last 3 years? It's tough, like we have allowed Nick Nurse to just go blame free this year because he's thriving with the Sixers and Darko is struggling with his old team here, right? But so often I've noticed that when I take over for somebody who's really bad at their job, the first 3 months of my time there are spent cleaning up the mess that person created. It's hard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you're an actor. So if I took over, and I have done this a couple of times where I've taken over as a director for somebody who's abandoned the project, right? And I'll come in and I'm having to take over on the 7th or 8th rehearsal for a director who did a really poor job with the first 7 rehearsals. And now I have 3 rehearsals or 4 rehearsals left until we go to shoot or we go to camera. And the problem here is I have to undo a lot of bad ideas.
Yeah.
And I'm probably going to right, and I'm probably going to go to camera with actors who are not prepared and a crew that is disgruntled because they hate their experience and they've already anchored the experience of being on this project to a negative experience that they had with the previous guy. Now I have to come in and do double work to reorient that, which means I have to establish special connections with everybody. I need to reorient their mind and focus to say this is going to be different. Now, if I fuck up even for 1 second, or if we have even one more setback where an actor drops out, now it's just like quicksand. We're just falling. So, yeah.
The director from Scream 7 just dropped out like 2 days ago. You can take over if you want.
Sure. Yeah. I saw that. I saw that post. No, thank you. Rob, the other day, JB says, Rob, the other day, didn't you say this is a 500 team with the right rotations? That's all I'm asking for. I don't enjoy losing a product. It's part of the process, but this like 7 wins. I agree. Look, that's what I'm saying. It's like, if you change the rotations, it's very easy to say, well, at this point, the easiest thing to do is to change the rotations, right? Start Gary, right? In theory, I think that would work. It hasn't been given enough of a chance, but limited sample size says it should work.
Why is he so reluctant? Why is he so reluctant to bench Dennis? Like, no, that's from, like, honestly, if Gary might be a positive, create more spacing, and if Scottie has done well as playing point and maybe at the end of the 4th quarter or something like that, why is he so reluctant? If this is the point is to win games, but fine. If it's developmental season, fine, but there's no direction. But why is Darko so reluctant? Do you have an answer, Rob?
I wonder if part of him, it's probably a multi-pronged answer. One of them being, he has establish Dennis as a starting point guard, and the organization themselves don't prioritize Gary going forward. Dennis being, the contract that is on your books next year, as in this summer, this team will have a lot of decisions to make. If they don't make those decisions right now, then they're kicking the can to the point where there's no more kicking, right? They've been kicking the can for a few years now with OG and Pascal. There will be no more there's no more runway to kick the can any further than they already have, because at the end of this summer, they'll have to make a decision on OG and Pascal one way or another. Unfortunately, at this point, the decision will actually no longer even be in their court. It'll be on OG and Pascal to decide whether they want to come back. I can certainly see both those guys leaving. At that point, you'll have Dennis Schroeder on your books and Gary Trent won't be on your books. That could be the difference. You know, if they don't prioritize Gary as a long-term asset on this team and he's just going to be trade filler, or he's just going to be let to walk for nothing, or they want to kind of see if they can get him back on like that mid-level type of value, then allowing him to start right now and become the solution and average 22 points per game for the Raptors, and then, basically get price himself out of their range might be kind of like counterproductive, because you don't have that relationship with him like you did with Fred to allow him to kind of do that. I don't know. I would hate to think it's so conspiratorial and so constructed and so calculated, but it just might be, And at the end of the day, if Dennis Schroeder is on your bench and he's struggling or whatever, then his value is lower as an expiring contract next offseason if you want to trade him and go young with Scottie in the bench. So I don't know. It could be that. It could be point of attack defense. Dennis being much better at navigating screens. Basically, you need someone in your starting lineup who can do that for, a league that constantly has this action run across the board. Quick, jittery guards. I mean, he's not been great. Point of attack defense has been bad, but certainly it would be worse with Gary. I just think the spacing argument trumps all other arguments. That's it. I think the spacing argument trumps all other arguments. I think everyone would just be so much better with Gary in the starting lineup. He's a lot less ball dominant. He doesn't crawl the pace. So yeah, I'm very firm. I think Gary should start if the goal is winning. But I don't know what other goals this team has right now, which is important.
And I think he can learn good habits. He's like, everyone's saying, he's not a passer and this and that. But I think also he can grow in his role if he has that confidence that he's a starter. I don't know. Gary has shown some upside from time to time when he's been given that opportunity. I just, as you said, it's all about expiring contracts and value and stuff, right? At the end of the day, it's a business too, right? So
sure, yeah.
All right.
Any final thoughts, man?
Just want to wish you a Merry Christmas. You have 3 days to enjoy without any more headache, hopefully.
I would probably do a live on Christmas Day, but probably not. Yeah.
Well, do something to enjoy. Have some good time with your family and friends. I will try to attend Pendants. Maybe we can meet in person. And
that would be super cool, man. Definitely.
Yeah, man, for sure. That'd be great. Do appreciate you doing this. This is kind of a little, present for all of us. So we can vent our frustrations and not keep it inside, because that's the worst thing to do. But let's see what happens with the Pistons. It's okay if they lose. That's
not our next. That's not our next game, is it?
I think no. Is it not?
No.
Okay,
there's one more game before that for sure.
Okay.
Our next game is Wednesday the 27th against the Wizards. Then we have the 29th against the Celtics, and then the 30th against the Pistons. Oh boy.
That's gonna be a national game. That's gonna be all eyes on us, I think.
I mean, it won't be a national game, but it will definitely be a game that everyone in the world is watching in terms of League Pass. That will be the game. And if the Raptors lose that game, I would not be surprised. Heads will roll so fast. You cannot. I was thinking about the team that is going to inevitably lose to the Pistons, and I keep thinking it's going to be a really good team resting a bunch of starters, because that's the only team that can lose to that team right now. Because I just watched who did they face today? They just faced the Nets. The Nets are a pretty mid team, right? I mean, that's weird coming from a Raptor fan calling Nets mid, but they're pretty mid, right? They killed them. And I was just even in the fourth quarter when it started to get 10, 12, it was boom, nope, not happening tonight. We are not the team that's going to lose to this team. So it's at this point, I've been looking at their schedule for a couple of weeks now, and I'm just The one team that, other than a good team resting a bunch of starters, that could lose to this team is the Raptors. So
Yeah,
we'll see. Anyways, man.
one last question I forgot to
yeah.
ask you. Pendants. Is it too late to submit movies, or is it, or you already have everything locked down?
No, it's not. It's not too late to submit. So there's 2 more deadlines. The one is in 2 more days on Film Freeway. So filmfreeway.com/pendants. Tickets are also available there. I mean, technically it's passes, and then tickets will be available once films are selected. So yeah, the final film selections will be out on January 26th.
And they're full features, right? They're not short films, right?
We exhibit features and shorts,
Okay, my friend knows.
and we also have like guest speakers coming in. One of whom is one of my favorite writers. He's going to be coming in and talking about editing, which is great. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Someone complained earlier that this live is like very esoteric. It's just like, oh wow, great. Now we're talking about editing. Anyways, man, thanks a lot for calling in. Appreciate it, man.
And one last thing for your benefit, have everyone donate to your stream. What is it? StreamYard instead of was it YouTube, because YouTube takes 50% or more.
They don't take 50%.
They take a lot, but I don't know.
You can't get donations to StreamYard, man.
Oh, okay. Maybe I was just trying to see. Okay, I thought maybe you.
Yeah.
Better cut.
Like
That's
people,
okay.
people put Cash App links and PayPal links and stuff like that.
Yeah, everybody do that, because then at least Rob gets more money.
That's appreciated. But yeah, super chats are great. I think it's like YouTube takes like 30% or something.
All
like
right,
that.
that's cool,
So it's not 50%. But yeah.
Okay.
Anyways,
I'll
man.
let
Cheers.
you be. You take care.
Cheers.
All the best.
Have a good
Bye.
one. Have a good one, man. Peace. Okay, let's get to the post game. The aforementioned post game analysis. Yes, Pascal Siakam will talk to the media. Yes, Scottie Barnes will talk to the media. Holy shit! I have waiting with fainted breaths. So you get.
It's getting away from you a little bit. You guys played so well through the first 3 quarters, and a couple of one and dones on a few possessions, and they get some momentum. How could you think you could have stopped some of their momentum as they got rolling?
Well, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think again we started forward with a good lead. We missed a couple of shots. They made them made their run at the right time, basically for them. Again, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think it just probably was a little too easy for them, out there. Once they started making that run, but it's a game of runs, like, and they made their run like at the right time.
Good thing about the NBA usually is you don't have much time to sit on a game like this before you're back out there. How tough is it going to be the next few days to have to sit on?
No, it's tough, obviously, because we felt like that was a winnable game, and kind of got away from us. So yeah, I think it's going to stink, but it's not much you can do. We got to just move on to the next one. Get some days to relax, get your mind off of it a little bit, and then come back and trying to rectify what we didn't do well out there. I thought for most part of the game we played a good game, but that fourth quarter was critical.
Darko has talked throughout the year that kind of leadership this year has been more of a collective thing. A lot of different guys speaking up. What's it like in the room after a loss like that? Are guys in the room speaking up? Is it more of the coaches?
I mean, I think right after the game, it's kind of hard to say anything. It just sucks. You lost the game, so just go back, regroup, and try to be better.
It was your 500th game with the Raptors. I know it's probably hard to think about that right now, but what's that say about your career and your longevity with one team?
I don't know. I didn't know that until today. But obviously, I just grateful to be able to play the game, play 500 games. For someone like me, it's not given every single day. So you got to be grateful. And I'm just I'm blessed that I'm able to do that, and I hope I can play a lot more.
Yeah, Pascal, vous avez été en avance tout au long du match et puis au dernier quart-temps, ils sont revenus et ils ont dépassé. D'après toi, qu'est-ce qui a causé ce changement en termes de score? Pourquoi s'est passé comme ça?
Je sais pas. Je pense qu'on a eu le contrôle du match, presque tout le match. Et puis, comme on l'a dit, au quatrième quart-temps, ils sont venus avec un peu plus d'énergie que nous. On a raté les tirs, ils les ont mis. Et parfois c'est ça le basket, que tu rates et l'autre équipe met des points au bon moment. Et puis, ils ont eu le momentum. Et ouais, c'est juste que pour nous, on n'a pas pu stopper ce qu'ils ont fait à ce moment-là. Et ouais, c'était pas évident.
Est-ce que pour l'équipe, est-ce que c'est frustrant d'être fait pareil? Comment est-ce que vous pouvez garder une attitude positive par rapport à des matchs pareils?
Oui, c'est dur parce que à la fin pour nous, je pense qu'on a joué un bon match pour la plupart du temps et de laisser le match filer comme ça à la fin, ça fait mal. Je sais pas quoi dire. Enfin, il faut juste aller voir, essayer de faire mieux, mais ça va faire mal. Donc c'est ça.
Une dernière question. Une dernière question. Vous avez intervenu dans le cadre de votre fondation pour faire une surprise aux enfants. Quelle est l'importance pour toi d'avoir un impact dans la communauté, chez les enfants, grâce à ta fondation?
C'est très important pour moi. Bien sûr, la fondation, quelque chose que j'ai commencé à l'honneur de mon père. Et il a toujours aider les gens. Donc pour moi, de pouvoir faire ça à ma position, c'est quelque chose que je prends vraiment au sérieux. Et ça fait plaisir. Ici, à Toronto, ça fait ma 8e année. Donc je fais partie de la communauté. Et chaque fois que je peux faire ce que je peux pour la jeunesse et essayer d'aider, c'est toujours ma priorité.
Scottie, you obviously came out with a real focus early, and maybe just take me through that. What kind of prompted that start that you personally got out of fun?
Just taking wide open shots. They were helping a lot. So it was easy kickouts, and I was knocking down the shots. Shots was falling.
Scottie, you guys over the last 2 nights have played extended stretches of really good basketball. Is it just now about extending it out further, and was that kind of the message in the room these last 2 games?
It was just I think beginning of the fourth. It started off really good, and we wasn't getting the good looks that we were getting on game. We had that lead, and we just allowed them to cut it right back in in like 3 or 4 minutes. So, that was on us for allowing them to get those easy transitions, get offensive rebounds, and, we just got to do a better job there.
Is there somebody or maybe a few guys in the room that are especially vocal after a tough game like this, or is it mostly just the coaches that are speaking after a loss?
I think we all really know what we needed to do out there in order to win, so we all really have it in the back of our minds. But the coaches usually, they come in and tell us what, we could have done better or the effort we put in, and just trying to stay positive.
Is it getting hard to stay positive, given I think you've lost 10 out of 13 now? Is it getting a little difficult?
I'm just trying to be happy that I'm playing basketball. I'm grateful every day that I wake up and be able to go out there and play NBA basketball. It's the best. Even coming off last night's loss, wake up happy that you're about to play another game. I love those back-to-backs, being able to play another game right after another. I just love basketball. I'm happy to play the game of basketball and be able to play with our guys. So I'm excited every practice, every game. I look forward to it.
Will you try to sort of?
I would like to point out a couple things here. Number one, when he talked about offensive rebounds, there's one with Lauri Markkanen just got right over him and he didn't even jump for it. He needs to be better for sure as well. I understand he's doing a lot on the glass. He had 14 rebounds tonight. He needs some help. He needs some help from the guards. That's for sure. Number two, his shirt, 7 Deadly Sins. I noted this, in the Raptors Instagram, Twitter, whatever, they posted it. It's interesting. Scottie's very religious. It comes from a very religious I don't want to say very religious. That might be putting something on him, but definitely God-fearing and God-believing. 7 Deadly Sins, man. Selfishness is one of them. Well, greed really is one of them. To this comment here, I don't do shit like this for $2, bro. Step up your game. Also, this sped sorry thing, I've addressed it before. The connotation of sped, I had to Google this. It's apparently special needs. I'm special needs, huh? If this is a commentary on if I was special needs as a child, no, I tested gifted as a child. If this is a commentary on me having Asperger's, then I will tell you that I consider Asperger's a superpower, not special needs. So, I don't know. Go fuck yourself. All right.
Disconnect with it for a few days, or what sort of?
But may I just say thanks for the coffee. Really appreciate it, Salvatore.
Your approach with a little break.
Nah, ain't no disconnect. You know,
How many bucks to say what you want me to say? More than you can afford. Let's put it that way. I'm not that cheap.
still work on my game, get some shots up, talk to some family, hang out with some family.
Darko, the 41-point fourth quarter against you, what did you see went on in that 12 minutes?
It was not just those 12 minutes. Those 12 minutes definitely were the problem, but the problem started start of the third quarter. We had 23 assists in the first half, and we talked about that we need to continue moving the ball and playing together. And the way we started that third quarter just gave them life. They ended up having 8 points in transition. It was 0 points in the first half. I think that they gave them some life. They start feeling well. They start making shots, and we did not make our shots the way we did in the first half. We made 9 threes in the first half, only 4 in the second, and we did not do a good enough job of guarding in the fourth quarter that allowed them 41 points there.
We called a really quick timeout at the start of the third quarter, and then again, start of the fourth, it got away from me with a bunch of backups in. Is it just effort again at that point in the game, or cohesion?
It just looks like one thing leads to another thing. If we don't do right things on offensive end, that really affects everything that happens on defensive end.
Facts. True. Also, I'm assuming this quote where we have no Steph Curry coming off the bench is about to come up at some point here. I just want to clarify. Steph Curry is arguably one of the top 5 greatest players of all time. So saying you don't have that guy coming off your bench, it's not an insult. And if Malachi Flynn and Gary Trent Jr. take being called "you're not Steph Curry" as an insult, the issue is them, not Darko.
And you could see that the second half, our defense was non-existent. They scored 71 points in the second half, and we did not have the same flow. We settled for some shots that we did not take in the first half, and we settled for some contested shots instead of finding open men who was there, and that just took energy from us.
I know 11 and 18 is obviously is about more than just lineups and things like that, but in your eyes, is it getting ugly enough where now lineups, minutes distribution, all that has to be looked at? Or?
We're looking at always when we talk about it, what, how, why, who. Those are the questions, and how all of that affects everybody else. Sure, we can mix up rotations. We're mixing up during the game, and It's not like we have Steph Curry sitting on the bench and I am going to put him in there. I'm not keeping him on the court. It's constantly we're trying to get some chemistry. We're seeing some improvements like we did it first half. Why we didn't do a second half? That's the question for me. It's not really about lineups. It's like the same people were on the court in the second half as well, but we were completely different the way we played in the second half. That's the mentality that we got to look at and address, and that has to be pointed out. Everybody that touches the floor, you have responsibility towards the team. What needs to be done? So the easiest thing is to change lineups, but are those just like cosmetics, or are we addressing the real thing? We had 16 points lead in the first half,
For the game.
I hate to freeze it on his face looking this way. I'm sorry, Darko. I think changing the lineups changes a lot of things. And this is a disingenuous, it's not cosmetic, bro. Your starting lineup is not cosmetic. Darvin Ham has changed his starting lineup multiple times. Steve Kerr changed his starting lineup. And they're playing better. So, no, changing a starting lineup has multiple effects. Number one, it changes your downline rotations. Number two, it probably changes the synergy of the starting group. Number three, it changes the synergy of your bench. Number four, it sends a message, which is we're trying something new, which can hopefully reinvigorate and maybe even put guys on high alert. Because your team right now is basically like, no matter what I do, I can't lose my rotation spot. And no matter what I do, like, that's sending a positive message on one side, which is making guys comfortable, but maybe making guys comfortable or too comfortable, as I guess Jet was saying, like, you need to crack the whip sometimes, not sort of paraphrasing what he's saying. That's factual too. I mean, here's the thing. I just want to say this. We've made a lot about Nick Nurse, having short rotation and short patience with guys like Precious Achiuwa, Malachi Flynn, etc., right? Has it ever been perhaps considered that if you can't crack an NBA rotation because you keep looking over your shoulder, that maybe you're just not mentally tough enough to crack maybe you're just not worth it? Is it possible that if a guy has to be guaranteed minutes in order to feel secure, if he has to have a coach, who wants to see him smile, that maybe he's just not worth it? I understand this positive influence stuff, and maybe it works with guys with real talent like Desmond Bane and Mikal Bridges. But I'm pretty sure that if you put Mikal Bridges on the bench instead of putting him in the starting lineup, he probably still would have made a way. Like, cream rises to the crop, man. Cream rises to the top. Typically, that's how it works. So you're not going to be able to just treat a scrub really nice and expect that scrub to suddenly not do scrubby shit on the basketball court. You're not going to be able to take a guy. Like, I understand you're trying to alleviate all of the anxiety that players feel, right? But anxiety can be a really good thing too. Fear that they have can be a good thing. If I fear, like, if I'm Malachi Flynn and I know that if I don't guard my ass off, like, there has to be double-sided. There has to just be fairness and accountability, right? I have to be fair. If you don't guard, you don't play. So go out and guard or don't fucking play. That's fair. That's fair. The only way I'm going to lose a locker room is if I'm not holding everyone to that standard, where I'm saying, okay, everybody but Scottie and Pascal and OG has to guard or they don't play. Well, now everyone's looking at sideways like, how come I'm getting benched for the same thing this dude is doing? It starts with your best players. You want my honest opinion? I think when your best player is not vocal, is not him, is not confident, does not walk, he does not walk upright, he becomes very soft when things start to spiral, your team takes on the identity of that player. This team has taken on the identity of that player. You can go figure out who that player is. I think it's worth noting. Anyways, continue.
About how a win could go a long way and kind of reinforcing some of these things that you guys have been emphasizing and working on. How demoralizing is a loss like this, and how do you make sure that it doesn't get to that point where it's demoralizing for the team?
It is demoralizing. It should be demoralizing because it was a second half. We did it in the first half, and then we followed.
And what was the lineup on the court when the whole thing fell apart? It was your fucking starting lineup.
The game plan, and we did a good job defensively, kept them to 55 points and scored 71. Like, for me, what happens there at the halftime for us not to be able to sustain that in the second half? And excuse cannot be, it's a back-to-back and none of that. This is NBA. Like, we know the schedule, how schedule works in this league, and it has to be our mentality that we put winning and we put team always in the first place.
Barnes matched a career high with 32 points, but most of them came in the first half. What did you see from him tonight?
He was rebounding the ball well. He passed the ball really well. He scored a lot of points in the first half. Second half, he lost a little bit of momentum there with a couple of shots. I thought some of those shots were good shots as well. He just continues to improve, and he's making the next step there. So I wish that all of us, we can help more and help team win.
What was the message? Obviously, everybody's going their separate ways for a few days. What did you tell the guys in terms of just what to think about over the break?
I told guys that first of all, me as a leader of a team, I gotta look in the mirror and see what I can do better.
Matt, it was not true. It was not the starting lineup. It was Scottie and the bench, to be fair. Be fair. I am being fair. They came out in the second half and they allowed... Are you kidding me right now? Are you acting like it was the bench that did this? It was not the bench that did this. It was, okay, yes, the bench extended the momentum, but the momentum shifted at the beginning of the second half. I mean, what are we talking about here? Here, you want to look at the last game? Take a look at the last game. This is lineup data for the last game. Look at the plus negative next to the minutes played. Okay, so the starters came out really positive, right? Then you shift off Scottie for Gary, and it gets a little bit worse. So there, your trend holds true. But at every point from there, pretty much Dennis Schroeder coming on the court was a negative, and Dennis Schroeder going off the court was a positive. Last I checked, he's a starter. Tonight, Pascal Siakam was a overwhelming negative. He is a starter for you. Now, just because he played really well with the starting unit to begin the game does not change the fact that he pretty much tanked the offense and defense the rest of the way. Scottie Barnes had issues in the second half. He is a starter. Dennis Schroeder pounded the ball. He is absolutely responsible for setting the tone of this team. Look, leadership is a position that, if left open, will be filled. Always. Okay? Any organization. If you get marooned on an island, at some point, someone steps up and anoints themselves the leader. Okay? So when a team collapses this way all the time, loses focus, can't get their identity straight, constantly is overreactive, not holding themselves accountable defensively, I look at the leaders. Who are the leaders? Do you think Scottie Barnes is the leader of this team? Seriously? He's not. It's Dennis Schroeder. Beyond that, it's Pascal Siakam. Beyond that, it's this dude right here. Okay? It's those three. Now, if you remove a couple people, a new leader will rise. Typically, that's how it works. Now, Scottie can do leadership stuff, but you can't just walk into a room as a 22-year-old with veterans across the board. I mean, sure, you can also look at guys like Garrett Temple, Otto Porter, but they're not playing. Thaddeus Young, what are y'all doing? But it's different. Dennis Schroeder has taken the mantle of leadership, and his team has allowed him to do it. Okay, he has anointed himself the leader. I don't see him talking to the media ever after a loss. Maybe that's a problem too. But he is absolutely responsible for a lot of the catastrophic fall-offs that this team has suffered over the last 15 games. Absolutely. He is absolutely responsible for allowing this team's offense to move away from a player where it's clicking. He is the guy who has the ball so much. My girlfriend was asking me the other day, today. She was like, okay, well, I think she said something along the lines of, we were talking about Jokic and Scottie and somebody else, and we were talking about like who is responsible for a loss, and she said, but it's 5 guys. And I'm like, yeah, but if you control the basketball, you have more responsibility, right? That makes sense. So I don't understand why sorry to be so triggered by this notion that it's the bench and whatever. It's not just the bench. I'm sorry. Chris Boucher played hard. Precious Achiuwa played up to standard. Gary Trent came, he did his job too. Okay. Ultimately, if these dudes are out of line, then you need to ask yourself, who's supposed to keep them in line, right? Because I got to ask myself a question. Like, honestly, if Rui Hachimura or Cam Reddish take a stupid shot for the LA Lakers, is LeBron not going to sit them down and be like, yo, don't do that shit again? Absolutely. And then it won't happen again, right? You need leaders. You need high IQ leaders who have the command of the room. If you don't have that, you're going to have someone step into that position and you may not like who it is. Okay? That's what happened to the Chris Bosh-led Toronto Raptors when Mike James came in. He just took over the offense because he could. Dogless is the term. Okay? Sorry to keep pausing this.
Or different, and how I can help the team better. And I expect same thing from coaching staff and all the players to look at the mirror and evaluate themselves, like what there can be done, like what each individual can do better to help the team. That's we have 2 days off. It's a Christmas. People should spend time with family, but also it's going to be very healthy for us to think about like what we can do different and better when we come back.
You mentioned a few times where efforts haven't carried over from the first half to the second half, or sometimes when the shots don't fall, the defensive focus and energy seems to drop with it. Is there a leadership element within the group that needs to kind of take charge of that a little bit? Is the team kind of a little bit, nobody wants to step on anyone's toes?
There's a little bit of that as well, I think we have good guys, but there's a little bit of that, like talking on, being on eggshells and not trying to offend anybody, and as a team, conversations are always good and helpful, and sometimes addressing things is helpful, but it has to come from within our group and team and coaching staff.
This comment's got me dying. This guy's trolling with toonies. Don't worry, man. It all adds up at the end. If that's what you can afford, I appreciate it. Thank you. I mean, honestly, you've been trolling for free for absolutely weeks now. I'm positive you come from Real GM. Some of the stuff you say, it leads me to that conclusion that you come from Real GM. But you know what? Today, sir, you have gifted me a coffee, and I do not spit in the face of anyone who gives me a coffee. Thanks for the coffee. But, step it up a little bit, it's all good. But that's funny. I'm trolling a dude for giving me a $2 super chat. Super chats are nice. You got another account? That's funny. Merry Christmas, Rob. Thanks. Appreciate it, man. Honestly, I don't take any of this for granted. It's for anyone who covers a team, I will say this. It's always really, really scary because obviously most of us are relying at least partially on, YouTube income, ad revenue, super chats, all this stuff. Some of us are relying on it to pay our rent. I'm not, thankfully, thank God I'm not, but it is important. And obviously it's a huge time investment to do these lives, etc. But what you fear is when the team or when your fan base starts to tune out of the product, then everyone's views go down, right? I mean, you'll realize that a lot of other channels, like they were pulling 5,000, 6,000 views, 8,000 views for videos. They're getting they're lucky to crack 1,000 right now. So what I'm really thankful for and what I'm very, very humbled by is that despite, the fall off in total Raptor fandom and a fall off in ratings, a fall off in attendance, a fall off in everything, that most of the people, who follow this channel and you guys have been beyond that. You have still continued to tune into these post-game lives. You continue to call in. You continue to give super chats. It's very humbling that you're kind of keeping this channel afloat and making these lives still profitable to some extent, So thank you guys for that. Of course, thank you for the support. Thank you for, every single time I look around, it's the likes, you guys like videos. I'm positive that the algorithm is suggesting these videos more because you guys are liking it. So that's really cool. So thank you so much. Oddly enough, saying this is my favorite Raptors channel. Thank you, man. Yeah, his views are down too. A lot. Oh, did YourGoat comment? Who is my biggest arch nemesis? I am not a cartoon villain. I don't have an arch nemesis. I don't give a fuck about anybody enough to have an arch nemesis. They're just guys who are there are guys that I find to be just annoying, and that's it. Last year it got real personal. I was very angry about it. Guys like Will Liu took a lot of my attention, and this year I got to tell you, I don't know if it's because I'm just in a different place, but I just don't care. I don't listen to it. I don't really care about it too much, partially because they're not attacking my favorite player. I really don't give a shit. Yeah, I mean, but yo, everyone's thinking about this. Everyone's thinking about the same thing. That's why they all wanted to dump Scottie for KD or Dame or whatever, because they know that the influx of attention that comes with getting a big star like a Kawhi, a Dame, a Giannis, whoever, they're always going to push for that. Shohei, Ohtani, right? Like they want that to happen so bad because ultimately all of these guys, there isn't a lot of money in media. I don't think I'm exposing something that's like not an open secret. There's just not. There's not. I mean, yo, like to be completely fair, if you make a YouTube video that has, I want to say like 800 to 900 views, right? You'd be lucky to clear $5 on ad revenue. That's not a joke. YouTube does not pay that much. Okay. So for some of these people doing these 1 hour lives and 1 hour, post-game analysis videos and whatever for like 800, 900 views, I'm not calling anyone, anything, whatever. You'd be lucky to clear $4, $5 for that. That's not really worth your time. You'd be better off going to Starbucks and working as a barista. So really, I mean, you got to sustain it. Obviously, you got to sustain it because you got a channel and, at some point the team's going to be good and you care about the team. Ideally, you do it for the love of the team and, you care about the players and whatever, and you keep covering it. But at the end of the day, like I'm learning a lot about this channel's subscriber base that we are able to weather the storm. I mean, this time last year, granted, the team was kind of shit too. So I've never really covered a good version of the Raptors. Like I never got the boost that a lot of other channels got by covering the championship era Raptors. I imagine if this was the championship era Raptors, we would have had like 1,000 people in this live right now. But even 353 at midnight is nothing to scoff at after an embarrassing loss to the Utah Jazz. We didn't play the Lakers. We didn't play Giannis and the Bucks. We played the Jazz and we lost. And we got 350 people here at midnight. That's amazing. So I just wanted to say thank you so much. It's very meaningful to me. It's not really a competition with other channels or anything like that. Y'all know, like with how much I've supported Goateology, whatever. I'm not a zero-sum thinker. I don't really care if you support other channels and you support this channel, whatever. I'm just looking at our views have not been allowed to tank because of you guys. And at the end of the day, true. Absolutely. Yeah. Brandon Pilon. I apologize if I'm saying that incorrectly, if it's Pylon or Pilon. Any comments on Siakam's December extension impact? I've heard if he's not extended by this end of December, he can only get 2 years. This is true. Yes, it is. That is only prior to next summer. So if a team wanted to sign him, to trade for him, then that's the maximum extension that they would be able to offer him. But if they just waited out in the summer, then they I believe they still have his bird rights, right? So Rage West, I'm happy Rob chilled on the Siakam hate and moved to Dennis. I don't consider either of it hate, man. I'll always reject this notion that it was hate. It was never hate. I hate the way a person is playing. I mean, if Scottie just went out there and just didn't defend and didn't rebound and just played listless, terrible basketball and jacked up 15 stupid shots a game, you would see the criticism come very, very fast and swift for him as well. It's about keeping it fair and balanced, It's not about having agendas. Obviously, I'm going to hold a 21, 22-year-old to a different standard. I mean, let's be real. Grady's played like dog shit all year. Jalen McDaniels has played like dog shit all year. Both players have played like shit. Okay? Which one of those players am I a lot more sympathetic towards? Grady. Is it because I hate Jalen McDaniels? No, because I exercise a certain amount of patience for rookies because I'm not an idiot. Okay. So it's just about like, exactly. Okay, so this is interesting. I just want to end this live on a note that's not super Raptors related, but is basketball related in general. And it's just about how we form opinions. So I was watching a video on Malika Andrews, and it's in defense of Malika Andrews. We have a caller, TY. I'll let you on in a minute and a half. Just let me just get through this point, and that'll be our last call of the night. We didn't get a Coach Mo tonight. Yo, that's funny. Is Grady a bust? Absolutely not. Not yet. Hold off on those talks, man. Hold on for a couple of years. Okay. So in terms of Malika Andrews, right? A lot of people, good eyes saying, thank you for content, Rob. I really need this show in audio podcast format. Make it happen. I should make it happen, shouldn't I? I was thinking about that. It wouldn't be too hard either, eh? I need to get a virtual assistant, man. Okay. To the point of Malika Andrews, right? So look, Malika Andrews, there was a video expose. A lot of videos have been made about Malika Andrews being terrible, about how she's a race traitor, she hates black people, etc. Right? Now, the vitriol towards this woman is insane to me. Like it's next level. And this video did a pretty decent job of just articulating it back to where it all started. And basically, it was her going at Stephen A. Smith for his take on Ime Udoka and that entire scandal, right? And basically what happened was she interrupted First Take, which is a notoriously boys club type of, talk show, morning debate show. If you call it a debate show, you're crazy. It's not really a debate. It's just one guy talks and everyone else just kind of like bows down and listens to him. Stephen A. Smith would have a really fun time debating me. I'm confident that I would own that dude because like JJ Redick has fucking put him in his place a couple times. It takes a slice, to cut through and just dodge, all the stupid shit that he says. Anyways, Malika Andrews came on and it was basically she called into the show and she's got her own show on ESPN. And he was basically saying that this woman that Ime Udoka had an affair with, that she should also be called out because her not being called out has led to a series of allegations about other women and other women's screenshots being shared. So why is it Ime who is being, doxxed and dragged through the mud in the media? And I kind of understood the point too. Obviously she was being protected because she was a lower down and apparently, Ime had made some comments towards her. So it was allegedly not just a consensual relationship. It breached into more than that. And look, as someone who continued to advocate for Ime Udoka being a Raptors head coach, clearly I did not make as big a deal about this as many other people did. And clearly, I mean, I don't like Stephen A. Smith, but in terms of, the logic of did the Celtics do Ime dirty or did Ime do himself dirty? I kind of fall somewhere in the middle of dudes cheat on each other all the fucking time. There was an entire podcast with Rashad McCants where he talked about dudes sleeping with Jamal Mosley's wife and Dwayne Casey's wife or girl back in Minnesota. Everyone's sleeping with everyone in the NBA. This shit is like, it's out of control. There's so I've known quite a few players who played for the Toronto Raptors, and one of the players that I know told me once in 2009 that one of his teammates had slept with at least 500 women in that 1 year. I'm not going to say who the teammate was, but 500 women is crazy for 1 year, given how many other obligations NBA athletes have. This Wilt Chamberlain 20,000, whatever the shit he was talking about, that ain't far off from where guys are right now. This has never been more accessible. So a dude sleeping with somebody who's not his girl or not his wife, it's really like, if it didn't breach into abuse, it doesn't really bother me. But Malika Andrews saying that it was out of control and that he was wrong, putting him on his show, him coming back with, this is my show, you're not going to tell me whatever. It led to a lot of people being really mad at her. And now every single time she does anything, it's with the framework of that already being there. You know what I mean? Like, It's always there in the back of everyone's mind. She is anti-black. So if Giannis has a problem with her and Giannis is a black guy, then boom, she's anti-black. Mind you, there are people who are not black calling a woman who is at least partially black, half black, a race traitor. Who the fuck are you? Who am I? Who am I to say that about her? I may not agree with her. I don't even like her. Straight up. I don't like her. But I'm not going to sit here and be so hateful towards her. Be like, oh, why don't you call it Josh Giddey? Why don't you? Yo, what is she? The moral police? It's crazy. It's a little bit crazy. And truly, it's a pylon. It's a pylon because people lack, people are angry. People are really angry. They're really angry, man. Like, you gotta look. I've never heard it so loud, but this world is an angry place right now. And a lot of people who are very, very pissed off with their lives, pissed off with their jobs, pissed off with the economy, pissed off with their team. And they need outlets. They need avatars because really they're angry with their life and they're just trying to push it out into the world and target somebody else. Somebody. Rob, were you an aspiring Abercrombie and Fitch model? Sure. Keep it there. Were you Messiah on Real GM? Wow. Speaking of angry people, can you imagine trying to troll somebody for something that they may or may not have done 18 years ago? Can you imagine how much hate you would have to hold on for 18 years? Insanity. My point is that the anchoring bias that we have towards someone is real. So how much this ESPNification of everything becoming the worst of the best, right? Everything is the worst of the best, right? This guy's like LeBron's the choker or he's the GOAT. Austin Reeves like the worst player in the league or he's the best player in the league. Anthony Davis, worst player, best player, overpaid, underpaid. It's so polar because the truth is the algorithm doesn't give a shit about your nuance. It doesn't care, right? Oh, troll comment. Jeez. My point is that you have this entire online ecosystem that is basically propagating and elevating anything that is sensational. Okay. If I say Scottie's better than Luka, that tweet is going to get like 1,000 retweets of people calling me an idiot. And I will have won because now people know who I am. Okay. But if I say Scottie may one day be, on the level of a Jason Tatum, which is a far more balanced, probably accurate perception of it, it's going to get nothing. And, I've always learned this thing, from relationships. I was thinking about this in my past relationship with this girl that I liked a lot. And I realized that basically we had a weirdly abusive dynamic where I would kind of ignore her a lot. And then she would do something crazy. And then I would pay a lot of attention to her for a little bit. And then I would kind of ignore her a lot. And it would go on and on and on like this. Where after a year, I noticed that I had kind of trained her to be crazy. You know what I mean? If she wants my attention, she's got to be crazy. Rob, apparently you were Bargnani and BC Superman, a super fan on Real GM. I did like Bargnani, actually. I can tell. Okay. No comment. I did like Bargnani actually a lot. You'd be really stupid not to. If you saw his rookie season, you would be very dumb not to. What I don't like personally is how people walk away from what they did and what they said. I really don't like it. Like, I own every fucking stupid thing I've ever done or said. I have no issues with it. I liked Andrea Bargnani. I supported Brian Colangelo because I had to live through Rob Babcock. I hated Rafael Larujo. Like, my takes on this are solid. But if I look back on everything I've said about the Raptors in the last 20 years, I've been right so much more often than I've been wrong. Facts. Yo, I'm out of coffee, Salvatore. Time to fill up. No more responses for you until I get another Toonie super chat. Bro, no shade towards fat people, bro. But like, I mean, that's funny. But see, that's what it is, right? So what I was trying to say was I'd basically trained my ex to be volatile in order to get my attention. But if I could have just given her attention when she wasn't being volatile, I would not have trained her to be so. So the point is that at this point, we are basically training content creators to be ridiculous and to have extremely polarizing takes, and in order to get attention, because the video, Scottie Barnes is kind of good at basketball, doesn't get any fucking traction, right? So I think it's this lives makes my rap experience worth it. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. I mean, you know, I would love to ban you, but you just create more accounts. Let me tell you something, Salvatore. So last year, I spent a lot of time getting really angry at people like you. This year, you'll notice you don't get anything out of me. No matter what you say, nothing. You're getting nothing out of me. This is a lot of work that I had to do this summer to make sure that I wasn't going to be so emotionally reactive. I will, however, tell you one thing. Your continued trolling, the amount of attention and the amount of traction and the amount of effort that goes into what you do is honestly, it's next level, man. If you could orient this amount of effort into getting yourself a girl, getting yourself a house, maybe getting out of your mom's basement, you might be thriving in life. Maybe you can get a promotion at Walmart. I don't know. Maybe you can go out and live out your dream. Maybe YourGoat is right. Maybe you need to get in shape. I have no idea what your problem is. But to devote this much attention towards someone you don't know, and to like, I mean, this is almost like I would almost admire you if I didn't disrespect you so much. It's pretty cool. Anyways, let's bring on YourGoat for a second. YourGoat, what's going on, bro?
Nah, I'm just here to just kind of laugh at this clown, you know, and also say some things about, you know, haters on YouTube, you know. First things first, Salvatore, you get no pussy and you need to lose some weight. And the second thing is like, you know, with these haters on YouTube, this is to everyone here that wants to start a YouTube channel. Don't get mad at these trolls, because at the end of the day, these trolls give you a lot of attention and views, you know. I edit for some guys that do pranks on YouTube, and you know, we did a reel or a short that blew up, and there was hundreds of people that were hating on us with comments like, you know, bad hate. But all we did was, you know, just fuel the fire. We just started trolling them back, and they would constantly keep on coming back and giving us more views. So that's to everyone that, you know, doesn't know how to deal with trolls. Just, you know, just let them be, let them troll, because they do no harm. Like Salvatore, the only thing he's really done throughout this whole stream is give you like $6. He probably only has like $2 more left in his little Cash App account. So, listen, Salvatore, I think you should send like only like $1 donations, because I feel like your
I don't think you can give $1 donations on YouTube, bro. I think they got the cutoff of $2 and they got the max of 1,000.
I mean, I think they YouTube needs to change that, because these broke ass people can't even afford $2, you know.
Bro, don't be throwing shade on $2. That makes up a large part of our revenue stream. Shut the fuck up.
No, I'm sorry, man. You keep on rolling it, but also like another thing, like wanted to touch on with you, because I've noticed like with NBA content in general,
Mhm.
I also do like NBA content too with another channel I'm partnered with. Views have been kind of down, honestly, with like NBA in general. Like I've noticed like not many people are like really just watching or like really wanting to like clutch Tatum. Please don't bring up Killian Hayes right now. Thank you. But I've noticed that and I'm like, well, what's going on with like NBA content? Like what do you think is like the deal with
Who do you follow? Let's see if we can draw a trend. Who do you actually follow? Like, who do you listen to? Who is a podcast that you're definitely not missing?
well, I mean, your show because
Okay,
W Rob.
apart from Pensar basketball.
If any of you guys know who Crispy Flakes is, he's like the most emotional Pistons fan ever. Like when Luke Kennard got traded, he took off his shirt and started crying. That's one. I listen to Player's Choice on YouTube. I don't know if any of you guys know that.
Do you listen to Rusty Buckets?
Oh yeah, I watched
to.
some of his video. I used to. I watched some of his videos.
There was also a Detroit guy who sat down with Cade. What was his name? You know what I'm talking about? Noah, Motown Noah.
Yeah, I watched that one.
Okay, so I mean, look, I'm not here to tell anyone how to run their content. This certainly, you know, like whatever. But this is something I've noticed in the content creators that I listen to. I want information. I want truth. I want nuance, balance, and I want accountability. So these are the things that I'm looking for. Not everyone's looking for the same thing. Some people are looking for quick hitters. Some people are looking for, you can't please everybody, but that's what I'm looking for. So that's what I try to put back into this channel. So for me, it's like the accountability factor comes in when you say something that's wrong. Do you own up to it the next day, or do you try to dodge it, double down on it? Are you well researched? Are you someone who provides me with some value in my life at all? And are you just someone who I enjoy listening to? Like I'm not trying to throw shade at other content creators. Anyone who knows this channel knows exactly who I'm talking about when I say this. There's some of these dudes, I can't listen to them talk for 10 minutes. They're not interesting. They don't have a personality. They don't speak from the heart. They speak right from the head. I'll do an impression right now of one of them. And welcome to Pensari Basketball Live. On this episode of Pensari Basketball Live, I will drink water as you will hit a like. Bro, like no one is fucking paying attention to that shit because no one can relate to that. No one can understand it. It just feels so fake. It's put on. It's a show. And you're not good enough. You're not ESPN. You can't be Stephen A. Smith. Everyone trying to be Stephen A. Smith. There's only one Stephen A. Smith. He's a master of it, right? So you gotta find your own voice. You can't be like knockoff Stephen A. Smith. I did some shows with these guys early on, who were like, whoa, no. That was not a Raptors Digest impression. I could definitely do a Ben Rogers impression, but Ben Rogers is cool. So I'm not.
Just something real quick. This Salvatore guy clearly has a fetish with feet because he keeps on bringing up feet. Clearly, you like the same gender feet. And I'm not trying to be homophobic or nothing, but you clearly can't get any women, so you have to get you have to get the same gender feet because you gay. So
oh my God, YourGoat. You're gonna get me canceled. You got yourself canceled.
Listen. I have nothing to. I mean, you do have something to lose. I apologize. I don't want to be like that, but I'm a Pistons fan. I have nothing to lose right now. So,
man just woke up and chose violence. Eh?
Yeah,
all right. Like first of all, I just want to throw this out there. This is not a homophobic space. So if anybody out there is homosexual or whatever, this is not a space against you. And I do not tolerate what YourGoat just said. This is also not a place where I'm hating on fat people. Okay, this is not a fat shaming place. YourGoat seems to think Salvatore Russo is fat, so he has decided to shame him for it. However, in my opinion, YourGoat, abuse cycles back as abuse. So I don't know if at some point in your life you were fat, or if you were called fat, but now you're doing it to somebody else.
Nah, bro, I was chubby, bro. I used
there
to
you
go
go.
to the mall
That's exactly it. But that's my
fries,
bro. But that's my point. Like we tend to like this is a fact of life. Honestly,
Mhm.
we take on the identity of our abusers because our abusers were the most powerful people in our lives. So if somebody was racist towards you, or if they made fun of you for being poor, listen, I got made fun of for being poor when I was a kid. And when I was 18 or 19 and I came into a little bit of money and I started making a little bit more money, I kind of started to look down on people who were poorer than me. It made me feel better. Then I was 22 and I kind of woke up a little bit and grew some humility about it. And I was like, what the fuck am I doing? This abuse cycles. You got to break the cycle by saying, calm, no. A lot of us were straight, or I'm sure there's a lot of kids who were straight who were called gay because they one time skipped over a puddle. And then they went on and started shaming other people for, wearing pants that were too tight. Got to stop doing that, because it's like, you know what I mean? I'm never gonna, me personally, I don't ever want to be shaming somebody for something they didn't choose.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna shame somebody for being short. That's just immature. I'm not shaming somebody for being tall. That's ridiculous. I'm not shaming someone for being a particular ethnicity or a particular race or whatever. It's just, it's not like, I don't want to do that. Anyways, so thank you for that. I wish your Pistons well. You just lost 26 straight.
It's tough, bro.
It is tough, but I have good news for you.
What is it?
Your suffering will end soon.
You sure? You think okay, so I know you have to end this live, but I just want to touch this real quick.
Well, Coach Mo is called in, so Coach Mo's on after you. But yeah.
Oh, yeah. So I'm just gonna make this quick. So you think the Raptors will lose against the Pistons? From what I've seen when you sent me that
I have a feeling that if there's one team in this league that is going to do it, it is the Raptors. Yes.
I thought we were gonna beat the Jazz. Like I thought that was our best.
Bro, there's a lot of reasons why it's not a particularly great matchup. I know that the Raptors fleeced the Pistons the last time they played them, but the Pistons are very desperate right now. And honestly, with OG Anunoby kind of like sinking on defense a little bit, with us not putting effort, with us leaving shooters open, like guys like, I mean, you're just one hot shooting night away from smoking the Raptors, bro. And like, and I mean, like that will be the end of so many miseries for the Raptors, because it's like heads are gonna roll that day. You lose to the Pistons, basically, it's over for your coach. It's over for somebody. Like somebody's getting fired or something, because it's bad. Y'all are making like front page on every newspaper. You know what I mean? Like it's like, how bad is this team? How bad is this team? I tweeted about it earlier. You're the most high profile team in the NBA right now. You understand?
Yeah.
Like if y'all were like 10 games under 500, no one would fucking even know you existed. But because you're so bad, you've gone. You know how they talk about like building a tunnel? Like you start building a tunnel in America, you go down to China. It's not true, but y'all have built you built the tunnel to China. Basically, you've become so bad that you're actually important. And this is bad because every fucking team is looking at the Pistons on their. We've been talking about facing the Pistons for 2 weeks. We haven't been talking about facing anybody for 2 weeks. It's so red alert because no one wants to be the team that's losing to the Pistons, especially not. But the thing is that the Pistons know that if they lose that game, they become the worst team of all time. I don't know if the Raptors are ready for the full force punch that the Pistons are going to throw in the first quarter. That's what I'm worried about. Number two, I know for a fact that Dennis Schroeder cannot keep Jaden Ivey in front of him. So if Jaden Ivey gets downhill, and I don't know if Jalen Duren's coming back by that game, but I pray for y'all that he does. Asar Thompson can do some work on Pascal. If he really pushes into it, I think y'all just need like the gut check and just really just dial down and say, okay, the season is lost, but we are going to change. We're going to go into New Year's happy. It's the narrative is timing up, man. And the Raptors are on a back-to-back after probably losing to the Boston Celtics, or God forbid they win to the Boston Celtics. Now they're relaxed.
But here's the thing. I understand why you would say like the Raptors don't really match up to the Pistons that well right now. But from what I would say, I don't think Jalen Duren is coming back at that time, right? And with that being said, Jalen Duren is our only hope at paint defense, if I'm going to be honest. He's our only paint defender that can do well. James Wiseman can't defend.
Is Joe Harris playing right now?
Joe Harris plays like 5 minutes a game and does nothing at all and is a negative.
Is Alec Burks playing right now?
Alec Burks he does play, but he's a huge negative and can't shoot catch and shoot at
Okay,
all.
so I'm saying like Bogdanovich plus Burke plus Joe Harris could light the Raptors on fire with the way they're playing defense right now.
Okay, so I mean, the thing is, Alec Burks has been shooting like 30% from the three this season, and he's a very bad catcher.
Okay, so Sasser.
Sasser, you could say Sasser too, but for me, the problem is we're gonna give up so many pain points to the Raptors if we don't have Jalen Duren that it's gonna be impossible for us to lose. And I feel like Scottie Barnes is gonna be going at us in the paint, and then he's gonna start shooting.
Sign Dwight Howard for a 10-day.
Oh well, I mean that would be
It might help you.
better. It
might help.
us, honestly.
It might help.
But I don't want to hold you up too longer, Coach Mo and another caller. I think they want to come in, so I appreciate you letting me come up here. I apologize for the comments if I offended anyone. I was a little bit hot because this troll in here, what I'm saying, is kind of annoying. But you know what I'm saying. Have a great live W content. I always appreciate you, your content. As a person, I really do appreciate you. And the last thing is, have you ever like consider making like shorts or like clips of shorts of your lives and posting it as like a YouTube short?
Yeah, many times.
Yeah, because I could help you with that if we want to continue like conversations like later on. I mean, I know how to make those type of shorts. I'm making for other profile YouTubers, and I could maybe make.
You're really pitching your business services right now.
Yes,
appreciate
sir,
it, man. I appreciate the hustle and the grind and your relentless pursuit to beat me in chess. Appreciate it.
I almost beat you last time, bro. I just got injured, bro. I got injured in football, but it's all good. Like even LeBron has
last time. What are you talking about? You got murdered. Okay. Last time?
Yeah, the last time we played, bro.
Fuck out of here, man. you got cremated. You got buried alive.
Bro, it's just like
you got murdered.
You got injured, bro. It's like LeBron has this like ankle injury in like the Western Conference Finals. That was me, you know what I'm saying? But I'm back to full health. I'm the LeBron James of chess.
You're an embarrassment to chess. All right.
I'm an embarrassment to chess. Nah, but all right.
You are the Salvatore Russo of chess.
No,
okay?
Oh my God.
Peace out. Okay. Jeez. Okay, we got a ton of callers, man. Holy. We had a ton of callers. Okay, I'm gonna try to bring many of you on at the same time. Okay, Coach Mo, TY, Lane, and Adam. I'm pretty sure one of you is a troll. Can you all verify that you're not trolls? Adam, let's start with you.
Not a troll.
Okay, Lane, are you really Lane?
Yeah, I'm really Lane. I'm not a troll.
Great. TY, are you a troll?
No, definitely not.
Great. Awesome. Great. Okay, we are at 2 hours and 16 minutes. I give this live. I am working off my girlfriend's internet off her phone, but she told me she has data, so let's go. What are your thoughts about tonight's game? I'll start with TY.
So I only caught like moments of it. Like I came home around I was actually stuck at Eaton Center. Like I decided to stupidly drive up because it was raining. I live at Bay Lakeshore, and I drove up and parked in the parking lot, and it took me about an hour and a half to get out of the parking lot, which is fucked. But anyway, stupid thing on my part. But there was a bunch of points I want to say, like on your point about Grady, before that whole Malik Andrews part.
Mm-hmm.
Probably growing up from, I think I was maybe 9 or 10 to I was 12. I was in the Mitch Wiggins basketball camps.
Mm-hmm.
So I was playing with Mitch Jr. and Nick Wiggins and Andrew was a baby at the time and stuff.
Okay.
Well, we were just fucking around pretending to be our favorite Pokemon, right? But from being in a basketball program like that, growing up and all my peers either going to university or in the States or playing overseas or some shit, or in Nick's case ended up in the NBA. I'll say that a lot of fans just don't appreciate development or how much is required for that for a lot of players.
Sure.
Right. And they're just way too reactionary, and I think that's that whole social media effects and not understanding nuance or anything anymore, being or the time it takes for growth, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got 15 seconds to prove yourself, and if you can't in that short period of time, you're either a legend or you're a complete fucking bust that should be like.
So you're
erased.
suggesting that Darko having patience is a good thing? I'm trying to get to that point. Yeah,
100%.
Yeah, I agree.
Aside from that, I got a few points that I wanted to touch on with you, like in Scottie's rookie year. So based on that, like Nick Nurse and everybody, I remember we're all crazy about like Scottie's passing and like his playmaking, right?
Mhm.
Which is like two things, like Schroeder's pretty bad at that, right?
TY, I appreciate you trying to make a point, but you're gonna have to make a point. We got 4 people on.
Oh,
I
yeah.
just want you to get to a point, and then if you want to make another point, we can circle back to you. But yeah, I don't want to hold 4 people up.
Oh no, for sure. All right. But like we started the season last year strong, right? And like Nurse had put Scottie more into that like position as like the facilitator and like doing all that. Well, Fred kind of got moved to more of an off-ball role at the start of the season, right?
Mhm.
But then like November came, Pascal got injured, and then like everybody else kind of, it was like a domino effect, right? And like so from November to mid-December, like half the team was either like they were sick or like injured. And do you think that like derailed the whole plans for the season?
I think injuries are a part of every single season.
Yeah.
Sticking to the game plan, the Raptors should have continued to go through OG and Scottie, regardless of what was happening with Pascal. But ultimately,
they were holding it down for those games, right? Like I think like OG and Scottie were like what was like almost like 30 each, like for a few games, like or like OG was just fucking rocking it on like offensively.
They weren't, and Fred was probably like a better, like he was leading to winning. He was, his stats were struggling, and so ultimately, when Siakam went out, he started to take more usage. His role changed because it couldn't stay the same. The Raptors needed offense. Fred's offense was more effective than OG's offense and Scottie's offense, and Scottie went through an extended scoring drought. He had that really, really tough miss in Atlanta where he had near triple-double, which I think really tanked his confidence in terms of how much he was willing to. Look, at the end of the day, Scottie needs to develop. Jalen Green needs to develop. 100%. Grady Dick needs to develop. All these guys need to develop. They need reps. But how much are you willing to take away from your team's overall dynamic in terms of their ability to win? Scottie having the ball from day one probably would have led to more losses. That's true. But it would have led to more development. That is at least in theory true. Yeah. So you have a player who cares about winning a lot. And that's a great thing because most young players don't give a shit. He does. But at the end of the day, he's always going to try to make the right pass. And if Gary has a clear path to the basket, he's going to give it to him. And what Gary does with the basketball is between him and God. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anyways, Coach Mo, what's up, man?
Hey, first thing I want to say is, like a Pistons fan, he's going to say he lost the chess match because he sprained his ankle. But Darko, when he went off, well, he didn't go off, but he was like, his back was against the wall, and we heard what he said. He kind of was defending himself because he was getting.
He doesn't have Steph Curry off the bench, right? Yep.
Yeah. But I agree with you. Disingenuous. Because there was this tweet I saw. You know the Joe Wolfond?
No.
So there's these two guys that were on the Will Lou show, but one of the tweets read this: Trent replacing Barnes instead of Shooter for the first sub of every half is slowly eating away at my soul. Then there's another tweet that says, this has to be a mistake, right? There's no way the starters with Gary in place of Dennis have played 8 minutes together all season. So that basically sums up the disingenuous Darko, we're trying. No, you're not trying. Because you're not doing the one thing everyone is asking for. Can you please put Gary in place of Dennis with the 4 starters? Until you do that, we don't care what you say. We don't care. We don't care what you try. We don't care what you tell these players, how positive you are. All we want to do is throw something at you at this point. Put those 5 players on the court together for at least 20 minutes in a game, and let's see what happens because they have the best net rating on the team. So everything you say, we don't care. We do not give a shit.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's fair. That's been our take pretty much the entire way through. Adam, what's up, man?
Hello?
Yep. What's up?
Yeah. I just wanted to be. First of all, I just wanted to say I'm a fan of your channel, and I'm
Thank you.
really glad you defended Darko because no one else is doing it. But I think it's a little bit. He's going to make a couple of mistakes being a first-time coach, and Nick Nurse, I think he might get us one or maybe two more wins than what we have already. Tops.
Yeah, but at what cost? I mean, at the end of the day, look, you can only, like, what is your objective defines what is failure. Okay. Now, I understand that it is very tempting to say it's one guy's fault. That's pretty much how we dominate in terms of narratives. It's Masai's fault. It's Bobby's fault. It's Darko's fault. It's Scottie's fault. It's Pascal's fault. It's Dennis's fault. It's Gary's fault. It's Boucher's fault. Okay. Who's playing well? Who's doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing? Because I'm seeing Scottie not boxing out certain times, letting guys get rebounds over him, giving clear blow-bys to the rim. I'm seeing that. So I'm going to say, yeah, congratulations, 32 points, 14 rebounds, 7 assists. Brilliant night. You weren't perfect. I can't say you're blameless in this, okay? You're not playing perfect basketball. OG Anunoby, one of my favorite players, but his defense has been awful the last few games, and he's a defender. That's his role. So, there's some blame there. Darko, yeah, man, rotations fucking suck. And I don't trust your starting lineup. Absolutely. Dennis Schroeder, what are we expecting? He's not a point guard. He's not a starting level point guard. Trying to allow him to grow into this may have worked. Maybe if you had a draft pick and your young player that you drafted 13th overall was playing well, maybe some of his struggles wouldn't be so magnified. Right now you're losing, and he seems like a really obvious scapegoat for why. And I think it's fair. I think a lot of the criticism about Dennis is fair. And if you want visual evidence for how bad Dennis Schroeder has been, I'll put this on the screen again. He's had one positive box plus minus game all fucking month. We're at the end of the month. So yeah, but look at Gary. I mean, I like Gary. He hasn't been given much of an opportunity. He's turning it around now. But where was he earlier in the season when he was posting -6 and -7 box plus minus? He was terrible. Jalen McDaniels looks like he has checked out of basketball and life in general. He's being paid $4.5 million a year for 2 years guaranteed. Is he not at all culpable for this? Because we need his shooting off the bench. Chris Boucher and Precious Achiuwa, their shot selection is terrible. Guess what? It was terrible last year. It was terrible the year before. It's multiple coaches. No one has been able to get these guys to focus for an entire game and just back-to-back games, especially. Pascal Siakam, you're the highest paid basketball player on the team, and you're putting up a 1.2 box plus minus, and you're having the impact, honestly, of maybe the 60th best player in the NBA, and you're demanding, that the team feature you on offense, and you're clogging up the paint. Jakob Poeltl, who traded for him? How many people can I blame, and how disingenuous would it be to then shove all of it on one person and say, yo, Darko, you it. Yeah, any one person can solve the problem, but it does not negate the fact that 12, 15, 20 fucking people have created the problem.
Yeah,
right?
It's definitely not Darko. It's definitely not Darko, I don't think.
I can't even say it's not Darko, but I can't say it's all Darko. And so magnifying 12%, like if I did a pie chart of all the blame to go around, maybe 12% to 15% is on Darko. But okay, let me flip the pie chart and say, what are all the good things happening for the Raptors right now? Maybe 25 to 30% is on him too. More ball movement, easier shots, better creation, more passing in general. Assists are up. Half-court offensive efficiency is up. You're seeing growth from young players. Who do I attribute all of that to? If I'm going to slander him for his lineups, I have to give him praise for changing an offensive system that was very stagnant. It's not stagnant anymore.
Yeah, there's one thing that I would critique Darko is the lineups. I think that Gary should be starting. I think that Schroeder should 100% be coming off the bench. He just hampers the flow of all offense. Like he's orchestrated.
Totally.
We know based on what, like two and a half seasons prior to this one, that Gary thrives on a starting unit. Like what, 2 seasons ago, he was a lead leaguer in like deflections. So he was getting his hands in the lanes, right? When like shit was being passed, and it was resulting in turnovers or like
he still wasn't a good defender, and
He's
he's still not a good defender. However, there is a theory that Dennis Schroeder was supposed to hold up your point of attack defense and also massively improve your ability to navigate screens at the point of attack. He hasn't done that. His help defense has been atrocious. So he's underperforming expectations. I was listening to a Lakers pod like last week, and they were saying, we miss this guy because he's so much better than what we have right now. We're struggling, etc. But I don't think they've watched him because he's not the same defender that we saw in LA last year.
They can have him.
Right.
Well,
They could totally have him. I'm not a fan. Obviously, I'm not a fan of Dennis. If there's one player that I'm just like, I have no sympathy for you at all, it's him. But even when I say that, I'm like, he's not forcing Gary Trent Jr. to shoot terribly. He's not forcing Jalen McDaniels to shoot like, I don't know what Jalen McDaniels is shooting right now, 4%, 10%. I don't know. He didn't force, Pascal Siakam to shoot 19% from 3 for a month and a half.
Yeah.
And he's not forcing Gary Trent Jr. to shoot 15 to 20, 25% lower at the free throw line. Like, these are all players that are playing 20 plus minutes. If they make marginal improvements, you win. Any one of them. If Precious Achiuwa could become whatever Masai Ujiri envisioned him to be, well, what does your bench look like right now? Probably a lot better. If Chris Boucher could channel that, like 24 PER type of player that we had in the playoffs against Philly for a week, we probably win every single game because he's so impactful. I'm just saying, like, it's hard to blame Scottie. It's hard to defend Dennis. Those are the polar extremes. Everyone else in the middle is a mixed bag for me. Everyone, including the front office. Anyways, Lane, what up, man?
What's up? What's up? First and foremost, Merry Christmas, gents. Merry Christmas. Second of all, I remember on the introductory press conference with Darko, and there's no way Darko slander. I'm just bringing something up. I remember they had, all the questions were offense related. And just going through this guy's body of work, I didn't think the offense was going to be an issue coming into this year. Obviously, turnovers, not a good thing. However, like you just pointed out, I'm not going to waste my breath on how our half-court offense is getting better and whatnot. There was little to no attention on defense. And then when someone did ask, well, what about the defense? He smiled and said, oh, don't worry about the defense.
Our defense will be good.
Yeah.
I remember that.
What a legendary quote.
It started out well.
It did start out well. It started out well because I don't see training camp is so weird because you're trying to unlearn old habits. And I felt like last year and the year before we played super tight. And I feel like that's how we started out playing the year on defense, was super tight. And as we've learned new habits, it's kind of been able to unlearn the old, but you're trying not to do the old. And I think that's what you're seeing right now. Is it's a competent defensive system, but the issue is like guys just aren't being utilized right. Like that's my issue with this whole year. I think every time
guys aren't executing.
Exactly.
I mean, Siakam is told to close out and push a guy off the 3-point line. He's not told to then turn around and observe that player going to the basket. He's supposed to rotate. Now, if that guy goes to the basket, he's calling for help. There was a play tonight where Siakam falls out of bounds. He doesn't make the shot. He sprints back, but he's behind the play. So he calls out to help from Dennis. Dennis helps his man, but Siakam doesn't rotate over to Dennis's man. There's no trust here. So if you do that to me once, it's a mistake. You do that to me 5 times, I'm not helping you anymore. Because now you're making me look like an asshole because every single time I help off of your man, you don't help off of mine. That's trust. But that's not scheme. That's trust. That's communication. What Darko said about every single player has to look in the mirror, that's fact. They do. There are players like Pascal Siakam who have been dog shit on defense. There have been quarters which have been inspiring. Absolutely. It's the same thing with Scottie. There have been halves and stretches and weeks that have been inspiring. Help side defense, blocking shots, etc. But it's not perfect. None of these guys are living up to their potential defensively because defense works on a string. You can compile multiple individual defenders, but if your scheme forces them to rely on each other, which every scheme does, then the whole thing works on a string. So if I beat OG or if OG is the help defender and OG helps, he's helping off of somebody.
Yeah.
Naturally. If OG closes the gap, and then what that results is an open 3-point shot for Clarkson, and Siakam's supposed to be higher up, and he doesn't get higher up because he's standing ball watching. Or if God help us, our defense actually works, and we're supposed to secure the rebound, and Lauri Markkanen just jumps over Scottie Barnes and tips it in without Scottie even like trying to box him out. Well, how the hell is that on the coach? What coach in the world has ever told their players not to box out?
It's a lot of fundamentals like with this team.
Look, I'm not trying to deflect. Please understand. I think Darko is very culpable for a lot of scheme related issues that this team is having. But man, it is really hard to watch a team play with so little force, so little pace, so little energy, and to have a coach who's preaching 0.5 offense, not holding the ball and running in transition. It's complete. It's like a complete juxtaposition in terms of what he's preaching and what they're doing. And I'm reminded that players are coaches in the NBA.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, 100%. And here's the grand question is, do you think he's lost the locker room? I don't think he's lost respect. I don't think he's lost the respect, but I think he's lost a little bit of the buy-in that he had going into the year.
Players are not stupid. They can see exactly what's happening. If he's breaking down tonight's tape, he is going to be like fucking irate because he's going to see time and time again that they didn't push. And I'm looking at the TV screen. He's literally screaming, push, push, push. And they're trotting it up the court. He's screaming to get back on defense and they're just jogging back. Like, what do you want him to do? At this point, it's like, if you're a player and you're blaming him, and he's been more than fair to his players. He's given Siakam opportunity after opportunity. He's not calling them out in the media. If it was me, I would have lost my job within a week because the first week, Siakam didn't box out once. And I would have been like, bro, what do you want me to do? My max player won't box out. I wouldn't have been able to hold my tongue. It would have come out right away.
Straight up bench him. Like,
or I would have benched him in the fourth quarter and just literally signed my resignation right then and there because I cannot coach in a situation. It's not fair to him because he didn't sign up for this. He didn't take this job expecting to coach Pascal Siakam. Siakam was supposed to be moved. He came onto this team to develop these young guys. Now he's been given the additional task of navigating Pascal's trade value. So he has to make sure to implement his new offense while also maintaining the trade value of this guy who's kind of half checked out on defense, but not really checked out on offense and isn't super complementary to the spacing and pace that you want to play with and has a natural inclination to hold the basketball a lot. Now, Siakam's made strides. He's had games where I'm like, wow, this is really positive. He's really buying in. But defensively, he hasn't. Not consistently, not to the level they need, not to the level he's capable of. And if all the talk, Goateology, thanks a lot, man. Appreciate it. Stellar work, by the way, to everyone out there. Goateology's released this incredible video on the NBA's record-breaking week that was. Fantastic video. It was just like Steph Curry, Wemby, Raptors, Embiid. It's like if you fell asleep for a week, that video sums it up perfectly. Great video. Yeah. Anyways, yeah. I've gone a little bit long-winded. James, sorry. What's up, man?
Hey, well, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, great.
Well, for starters, I'm a huge fan. I think you do excellent work, and I'm glad that got put on you from about early on in last season, and I've just been a follower ever since, and I think it's very good content that you put out there and very thoughtful and very well educated. So I just want to give you some props there. And I mean, this year has just been really tough. I think we can all admit that's just been pretty top to bottom. A lot of issues that we finally have to address. Management, coaching, players, fit, structure, everything. And I think I made a post on X or Twitter or whatever it was. I turned off the game. I was watching Home Alone with my nephews, and I turned it off when they were up 17. And my nephew said that I looked like Joe Pesci after he had his hairline on fire, because when I saw they lost, I
I did the
stood up
same
and
thing.
freaked out.
I did the same thing. I did the
And
exact same thing.
I actually couldn't even believe it. I couldn't believe it. I was in shock.
My girlfriend came in after halftime and they were up like, I want to say 10, 12, and she started watching. And suddenly the gap started to close. And she's like, maybe I'm bad luck. Maybe I should leave. I'm like, maybe you should. Like, I was dead ass. I was like, maybe you should, you know? And then she leaves.
I told my wife to leave the room several times. So yeah, I get it.
And then she goes over and she's preparing something in the kitchen or she's cooking something. And then she hears up 12. She's like, oh, they got the lead back. And I was like, look at the television. And she's like, oh shit, they're down 12. It was like wild, man. And the whole time I'm sitting there holding my head, very Joe Pesci-esque, and just like, I can't believe what I'm watching. I can't believe what I'm watching. And she's like, aren't you used to them losing this way? And didn't they lose last night? I'm like, not to the Jazz, bro. Like, this is different. She's like, I can tolerate them losing to the Sixers the way they lost last night, although it was disappointing. Like, I can tolerate them losing to the Denver Nuggets, although I really hate the way they lost that game. But tonight's game, this was a brand new way of losing. You win freaking every bit of the way, and then your defense falls off a cliff in the fourth quarter because everyone's like, we got this game. How arrogant.
It just leaves you puzzled, right? Because, I mean, I know you've been a fan for forever, right, of the Raptors, right? You've seen them through.
I didn't see them through the Sky Dome era because I was a Knicks fan living in New York at the time. But yeah, ever since about 99, 2000.
We'll forget that ever happened. But I mean, you saw the Chris Bosh, post-Chris Bosh era, like all that stuff, right? I mean, there was times where you just knew that the Raptors were going to lose and you were happy if they ever won. It's just now it's getting to a point where it's actually really hard to figure out exactly what to diagnose, right? I live on a Fanspo to do a trade machine, but then I sit there and I just wrap my head around it because I actually don't think that that's actually what's going to solve. I don't know what's going to solve it, right? I think there's like a level of pride that the front office has had for a little bit too long in terms of thinking that the picks they made, thinking that the construction they put together is actually going to work, when you can just see that we don't have competent people that can come off the bench and play together and play consistently, and you can just see it, and you never know what you're going to get from certain guys, and it's really hard to watch because we're really kind of effing up, pardon my language,
you
Scottie
literally censored yourself.
Right?
You should have listened to YourGoat earlier.
Just say
fuck.
I know, I heard him. That's what made me come on. Honestly,
I was just like, oh my god.
I was not going to come on. I was
Bro,
like,
this is what losing 25 straight does to your brain. You become homophobic, and like I was surprised he didn't say something racist. I was like, oh my god, YourGoat. What the hell?
Just most Detroit fans for the last 10 years. So I think he just
no wonder their houses are $300.
That's just how they live every day, man. It's too bad.
Bro, Detroit just catching strays. It's just like I feel like
I don't even say, hey, you know what? Maybe it's just that guy, but you know what? Detroit's had a hard time at it, so I think they're all going a little nuts. If you're still a Pistons fan, you've been through it. I mean,
it's something you don't wish on any fan base. The amount of attention that team has gotten over the last 3 weeks in the midst of this losing streak. The fact that I can't think of one other team's commentators that haven't mentioned that team. They're so high profile. It's like,
and it stresses me out because, the Raptors are right around the corner against the Pistons. I'm stressed just thinking about it. I really hope that.
But both teams have spent 2 days above 500.
It'd be the ultimate pinnacle or like the depth of the Mariana Trench. You go from the 2019 championship. If you get to that level, that would be really, I get stressed just thinking about it. I hope it doesn't happen. But long and short, I'm a big fan of what you do. And I'm curious what general feedback or what general thoughts that you have in terms of what we can do going forward. I mean, we've all talked about changing the lineup, but I think at this point there needs to be something that changes. That's a little bit grander than that we got serious issues with our roster.
That's a great question. Let's open it up to everybody else. TY, what would be your response to James's question of what we can do to change it up?
There's like no spacing, right? So like a starting lineup, like Scottie running like the point, right? Like have OG obviously that 3-and-D specialty. I'm literally like wearing his jersey right now. I don't know. I'll turn that shit on for that. Right.
I used to get upset when all my ex-girlfriends said they wanted space, but now I really want more space.
Yeah, there's never enough space, right? Like,
this is a problem I have never ever had in my life. I've never dated someone who wanted more
Way
space.
to brag, bro.
Ever.
Way to brag.
No, but this is not me bragging. This is me just telling you I give you an uncomfortable amount of space as a boyfriend. I will literally not text you for 16 days straight.
Same. I'm a sound designer and like a composer for commercials and shit, so I have no time for that shit. I'm just like,
yeah, me too. Like my girlfriend gets a text from me. She's just like, "Oh my god, you texted me." This is amazing.
But like having OG, like I mean, having Scottie like running the point, having OG, Pascal. I would even be fine with Pirtle there as center. And then have Gary on the starting lineup because we know that he plays better. We have the data in like multiple seasons showing that he has a better impact on the starting lineup. And not only that, you have OG, Pascal, Siakam, and Pirtle, which are all players that have like a two-way mindset. Like they know how to defend. I mean, Pascal's been kind of like
defense has been very compromised for me this year.
Yes,
like,
this year. Yeah.
Analytically speaking, like he's still getting some plus points, but there's some analytics that would say he's been downright terrible. Some that would say he's been very mediocre, and he is not the type of offensive player that can be mediocre on defense and not cost you games.
Yeah.
So I just want to say that could be scheme related. Like, look, Brook Lopez looked like absolute shit earlier in the season, and people were saying he was washed. They changed the scheme, and he looks better. So this could be scheme related. But
that's
if
true.
the Raptors, but like I have been noticing that his rim at the rim defense has been going down for a couple of years now. It's just not.
It's
quite
wild. I don't
you.
understand it.
Do you notice like also like OG over the past like what is it like? Was it 7 games? He's kind of been like. He's been less himself defensively.
He's been really bad defensively, yes.
Yeah.
And he's been
Which
terrible
makes
shooting the
me
basketball. I wonder if
he's checked
it's trades. I wonder if it's trade season and pardon?
Well, this
You
is
think he's
one
just
thing
checked
I
out?
wanted to
Like,
say. I mean, last season I thought it was bad when we had so many guys that were on expiring contracts, but this is really the year that it's all coming to roost, right? We have so many people on this roster that are expiring. Eventually it's going to get to a point where the team aspect will fall apart and it's going to be about them because they need to think about what's next, right? I mean, even all the way down to freaking Flynn, right? I mean, he's going to want to try to figure out how to get a 12th man spot on a roster instead of going to Europe or, Taiwan to play with Dwight Howard. He's going to want to figure out how to stay on. So I get very concerned as we go farther along that people are going to stop. It happened last year, right? We saw it Van Fleet, right? I mean, he just got to a point where he's just focused on numbers. You could tell that last 20 games of the season, it was like, that's all it was.
All numbers. Yep. 20 and 20 in Charlotte. Yep. That was
it. Was driving me crazy because you could see it clear as day. And it's just, I'm concerned about that coming ahead.
This team rewards bad process all the time. Like there was a play today where Boucher gets a and one, right? That was terrible process. I don't give a shit that he made the shot. Everyone was boosting it up. Everyone's like, whoa, Boucher, blah, blah, blah. He should have made a pass. He dodged 2 passes that he should have made on that play. And then he took a really hard shot because he does that. And then he makes it. So you reward it. The Raptors have had numerous comeback wins against really bad teams. Okay. San Antonio, Washington come to mind specifically. A win is a win, says the Raptors fan base and the media and everybody. But me, I'm just like, yo, this is bad process. You were down 20 points against Washington. Everyone's like, Rob's a Debbie Downer. I'm not a Debbie Downer. It's just you do this. You're setting habits. These are bad habits that set up bad shot selection, not getting back on defense, complaining to the refs. These are all bad habits. And habits have a way of snowballing, and they're infectious. Within a team dynamic, this close-knit circuit, which is a team, it's very, one guy doesn't rotate, one guy doesn't box out. Eventually, when you start watching film and you start observing the game, you notice this guy doesn't box out. He never gets benched for it. Everyone stops boxing out. It just happens. You know, one guy goes balls out on defense like Scottie was the first 7 or 8 games, going crazy. OG's going, but their teammates are not matching their intensity on defense. So at some point, you stop checking out. There's a psychological, lots of that data to suggest that you are ultimately the average of the 5 people you spend the most time around, right? So I think that there is a massive subconscious impact of being around players who are doing the wrong things all the time. And unless those players are getting chewed out for it, benched for it, waived for it, traded for it, you're allowing it. You're allowing it in your locker room, and it's an infection. It starts to spread. This entire team, almost every single player on this team currently watched Fred VanVleet do what he did last season and get paid. He got rewarded. It was awarded. And the Raptors themselves did not have a go fuck yourself attitude about it because they tried to re-sign him too. So they allowed him to do this, and then they tried to leverage an offer, and that offer, they saw what he was doing, and they traded future assets for Jakob Poeltl to make it easier for him to do it. Look, they have rewarded bad process for years now with Siakam. They have rewarded bad behavior. Siakam has forgotten multiple times to just stop playing defense. Multiple times. He's been talked about it privately. It has never been voiced by the media. He's never really faced any massive scrutiny by the fans other than by me. And I feel like this is bad. It's just allowing, you're setting the tone. You have your entire tone of your culture and everything we talk about, preaching selfishness and selflessness and individualism. All of it is being set by the wrong people. Anyways, Coach Mo, sorry for making you wait. What are your thoughts in terms of what needs to change other than the lineups? I'll put a moratorium on any more starting lineup changes. We all want that. I think we're all in agreement.
No, I wanted to say this. I just found this out recently. So the Lakers were on a 3-game losing streak. They were like 1 game above 500. Darvin Ham made a starting lineup change.
I liked the lineup, by the way.
Radical.
Did they win?
No, they won. They won. They beat the Oklahoma City on the road by 9.
Yep.
And they had the smallest player on the court for them was Cam Reddish.
They started LeBron at point.
Yep.
And
Wild, eh?
honestly, go check my Twitter account. I literally said Darvin Ham is getting killed for this, but I love this lineup. And it works. It works. Basketball synergy-wise, it works. People are Jason Timpf, who is, by the way, a podcaster that I do occasionally listen to and have a lot of respect for, he called it out too. And he was like, how can you have 3 of your 5 highest paid players on the bench? I'm like, I don't care. I love that a coach is doing this.
Yep.
Like, fuck your money and your status. This is basketball. I mean, and it worked. D'Angelo Russell's a fucking pylon, you know, and Cam Reddish is trying. You're setting your locker room on high alert.
I guarantee you, SGA would have preferred the other lineup. I guarantee you that.
Sure.
100%.
Absolutely.
SGA is like, start the other guy, please. Put Reeves and Russell in the starting lineup.
I mean, this entire season we have seen lineup changes. Like, look at the Clippers when they were starting Russell Westbrook, right? They were the laughing stock of the league. They kept losing. One change. So how dare Darko insult our intelligence collectively as a fan base by saying it's cosmetic? Motherfucker, it is not cosmetic. Literally, you are seeing example across the league of teams doing this and achieving massively different results. The Clippers, by some arguments, were lottery bound and one of the worst teams in the league when they were starting Westbrook. One swap, which is swapping James Harden into the starting lineup, and suddenly people are talking about them as the favorites in the West, which I think is a little bit hyperbole, but whatever.
With all 4 starting. They also sucked with all 4 starting, and then Russ went to the bench. And then it started working.
My fault.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, can I make a comment on that real quick? I don't want to pass it up. So, did he really say it's cosmetic?
Yeah, he did.
He literally said, he's like, I don't know if it's cosmetic.
I haven't seen the quote. So, I haven't seen the quote yet. So, that shocks me because my first reaction to that is I would 110% agree with him if Schroeder didn't have to finish games. If Schroeder didn't finish games, I would agree. But the fact that Schroeder finishes games tells me that it's not cosmetic.
Has to finish games. Has to finish games.
He has to. He comes back in like 8-minute mark, 6-minute mark every freaking fourth quarter.
Jamie, can you pull that up?
I never thought that a mid-level player would have this big of a role on a team. This team.
I mean, look at Jordan Clarkson. He's on the bench, but he ends games.
First of
Why
all,
can't we do
me as
stuff
a
like
leader
that?
of a team,
Why
I
does the
try to
5
get
have to
better,
end?
see what I can do better,
Chris Paul
or
is on the
different,
bench,
and how
right?
I can
Like,
help the team better. And I expect same thing from coaching staff
Am
and
I
all
too
the
early or
players to
too
look
late?
at the mirror and evaluate themselves, like what there can be done, like what each individual can do
there's mistake
better
doing this.
to help the team. That's we have 2 days off. It's a Christmas. People should spend time with family, but also it's going to be very healthy for us to think about like what we can do different and better when we come back.
You mentioned a few times where efforts haven't carried over from the first half to the second half.
I think he talks about it next.
Sometimes when the shots don't fall, the defensive focus and energy seems to drop with it. Is there a leadership element within the group that needs to kind of take charge of that a little bit? Is the team kind of a little bit, nobody wants to step on anyone's toes?
There's a little bit of that as well, I think we have good guys, but there's a little bit of that, like talking on, being on eggshells and not trying to offend anybody, and.
That's culture. That's culture right there. What he's describing is culture, not communicating on defense. That's culture. Kyle Lowry set culture for you. Now, I'm sorry, I'm having trouble navigating exactly where he said the quote, but I assure you,
me as a leader of a team.
In the video, but
it was earlier.
yeah,
He
you know
was
the rotation
rebounding the
questions
ball
come
well,
early. Rob. You know the
passed the
rotation questions come early.
Anyways, I'll pull this off. But yeah, to anyone who wants to scroll back, sorry.
That culture part, though, like I remember, was it Serge? Who was it that was talking about that? Where they're talking about playing for the Raptors, and they're in the game, right? And Lowry sat down next to them, right? And Lowry's like, "You're fucking up. Like, I have my role, and I need you to do your role, right?" And they said that changed things for them mentally.
Absolutely, it does. One guy has to speak up. Look, Kyle Lowry didn't talk to DeMar DeRozan his entire year. Rookie year, he didn't talk to him once.
Their first
Okay.
year together, you mean?
Yeah.
Kobe Bryant didn't talk to Smush Parker the entire time they played off the court.
That's
Not
actually a
once,
hilarious
not
story.
ever.
That's a funny story.
So my point is, like, this is all culture.
Yeah.
Your star player doesn't talk to players. That's a culture. But when DeMar and Kyle started to mesh together, it was right around when they were both about to get traded, right? And the unifying factor there was DeMar and Kyle were both cool with Rudy Gay. Weirdly enough, Rudy Gay becomes the uniting factor. I think Kyle Lowry was like Rudy Gay's kid's godfather or something like that. They're close. So that entire thing of Rudy Gay being traded and them being like, whoa, I'm getting traded, you getting traded, that kind of thing, what kind of brought them together. And they sorted it out. So now these two guys become a unifying force that can technically lead, And Kyle was still very prickly, maybe a little abrasive. But DeMar was very collaborative, but not direct. So you have like a yin and yang. You have mom and dad, basically. That energy has to exist on every film set, in every company, in every store. Imagine if you
have it with Scottie and Pascal. Like Pascal's so non-confrontational that I feel like if they're like ever like bringing back to that Pat Bev comment about being no dogs in Toronto or whatever. I feel like over the past few years, the closest thing that there was to a dog was Fred. Yeah. But Fred didn't know how to approach it in a way that like Kyle did, like a lot of people can be dogs. A lot of people like hard as fuck, right? But they don't know how to actually bridge that connect.
Yeah, Fred was like Ja Morant being like his fake gangster, like it was kind of like to the media.
Where he was like
I
almost
don't think that he was really pushing up the guys.
I think when I think about like toughness and I think about, inspiring defensive toughness and reaching guys and inspiring guys or whatever, I think about Ime Udoka a lot. I think about Ime as a player. I think about Ime as a coach. I think about him in San Antonio. I think about him in Boston. And now I think about him in Houston. This is an impact he's had across his career, across many, many walks of life. He is a guy where when he walks into a room, you feel his presence. It commands the room. He's always had that. Always. Have you seen a coach jaw with LeBron James the way he did and really hold his own and not look scared? He's not intimidated by the moment. That inspires confidence, right?
Yeah.
So Fred VanVleet is getting a lot of credit for shit that he's doing as a team. He might be the highest paid guy, but there's no way in hell that he's going there without Ime, without Dylan, without Alperen Şengün's assent and carrying that team to shit. It's just not happening. Quelling his insecurities about him being underpaid, him in his next contract, taking that distraction off the plate has allowed him to focus on the things that he's actually supposed to be doing, which is leading the locker room. I'm sure extensive conversations happened about what his role would be and what he's expected to do. And I'm sure Ime has been able to guide him. I'm sure his experience in Toronto has made him better as a leader. Understanding how he burned bridges with Scottie early on has probably changed how he has directed his approach towards Jabari and Jalen. However, let me be clear. Jabari Smith and Alperen Şengün are very different people than Scottie Barnes. I say this as someone who's followed them for quite some time. They are far, far more likely to listen to a Fred VanVleet come in and tell them what to do than a Scottie Barnes is. I like that about Scottie. You need to elevate someone like Scottie to a leadership status and then see where that goes. Because I've seen teams where he's been the leader. They've been good.
I do hope Scottie like really ascends or like rises to that role of being like holding everybody else accountable and be like, hey, that Kyle Lowry role, you know, because like Scottie is literally a generational talent, but like for somebody that would be drafted in years.
I think what's tough is that who's Scottie doesn't have any vision of what's going ahead in the future for the Raptors. Your entire 40% of your team are on expiring contracts, and the people that are on contracts are Dennis Schroeder, who, you know, like frig, that's been, yeah. I mean,
but he's got to demand it, though. He's got to demand it. Like this is him. He knows who he is. He needs to be confident in that.
It's going to happen. That's the thing. It's going to happen, and he's going to want to leave.
Okay, guys, please stop talking over each other. It's really rude. James was talking. So let's just let James talk.
I apologize.
No.
I apologize.
Yeah, James, you have the floor. What are you saying, man?
Oh, I just meant like, you know, I feel for Scottie because it's hard to take a leadership role and be vocal because you're not building something with people that you know are going to be there long term, being your ride or dies, being with you, being your partners. They're not, you know, OG could be amazing on this team. He's not going to be right beside Scottie, kind of pushing the team to move forward, right? You got so many, literally, how many people are on this team that could not be on this team next year just because they could go somewhere else? Like well over 50% of this roster, and who you're left with. So it's like, I think it behoove this management to really put guys around Scottie that he knows that he's going to play with for the next 3 or 4 years, and actually have a core that could force and be like that DeMar and Lowry thing, where they could build that unity and be able to project that around the rest of the roster. It's just there's nobody there that he knows that he's going to be with.
I feel like OG, like if you were to sell it on like that, OG with Scottie, and they just trade away Siakam, try to get some pieces, something to space the floor with the two of them. Like those two, I mean, can really accelerate this team, really raise the ceiling of the team if you really focused on them.
I believe they've tried. Like Masai and Bobby have tried to make a trade now for like since last year's trade deadline, haven't they? Like there was if you remember, like there was the Phoenix Suns game last year before the trade deadline. Masai is walking with the Phoenix Suns general manager down the tunnel. And then I think for 6 minutes in the fourth quarter of that game, the bench units for both teams were playing. And then Bobby and Masai were taking notes. But then Kyrie Irving came and blew up the entire trade deadline. And, the three...
I'm going to go back to something that Coach Mo said, which is, this is a homeless shelter. And I don't want to say it in a different context, because I think what he meant was basically that we just take anybody and, allow them to fucking come here like they're king. I reflect on something very often, which is the shame and humiliation that I felt as a child who lived in government housing. largely because, I mean, so here's the crescendo. So when I was growing up, I lived in a government housing building that was very well known for being crime-ridden and kind of dangerous, right? Everyone in my school knew that that's where a lot of the crime happened and a lot of the muggings happened and a lot of the cops always were there. And I lived there. So number one, this led to inferiority complex in school. I was always cagey and I was always defensive because it always felt like I was being persecuted. I was often grouped with the other kids who lived in that building as bad kids. We come from a bad neighborhood, so we're bad kids. You keep getting looked at as a bad kid, you start doing bad things because it just sort of identifies. The number one thing that I realized about that building was there's nothing actually wrong with that building. It was brick and mortar like every other building. Why is this guy's condo better than my building? Because every person in there was passing through to some extent. I mean, some people stayed a very long time, but nobody owned any of it. There was no sense of community. Everyone was very defensive. Nobody talked to each other. It wasn't a community. So you would always see piss in the elevator or in the stairwell. I remember seeing drugs everywhere. Nobody really did anything to clean anything up. There was no community of let's organize a community group, clean up on the Saturday. There's none of that. Nobody fucking cared. Everything was dilapidated. And it started with all the chipping paint. It started with the dilapidated, the exit sign that just allowed to flash half. It reminded you every day when you came home that nobody owns this. None of us are here for long. I say this to say that the Raptors feel a lot like that government housing building where everyone's just passing through. No one's really here. No one's really established roots. When Norman Powell came in, there was a realistic expectation if he was thinking about it that he could be here for 5-6 years. Same thing with Serge. Same thing with Kyle and DeMar. When DeMar got traded, he was hurt. Why? Because it was unexpected. He expected to retire a Raptor. There was ownership over this. He felt like he was Toronto. That was literally his tweet. He said, "I am Toronto." I believe that was the tweet, right? So this level of ownership is not here because you're dangling these guys in trades. They don't know if they're going to be here. Gary doesn't know if he's going to be here next year. Pascal definitely doesn't know if he's going to be here next week. This is the same thing they did last year. There were 9 guys we didn't know if they're going to be here. Does Thaddeus Young know he's going to be here for sure? No, he's an expiring contract. He's almost assuredly definitely not going to be here. Does Javon Freeman Liberty know he's going to be here next year? No. There is no sense of community. The only player who knows for sure he's going to be here next year is Scottie Barnes. And he's the one putting up 34 points, 14 rebounds, and 7 assists trying to will this team back from the death. But that's my point. So this pending, we're going to wait, we're not going to make a decision until we get the offer. There's a cost to this too, which you are bleeding dry any sense of community and any sense of team camaraderie that may have emerged in this. I'm curious, Coach Mo and Lane, what are your thoughts on this? Am I onto something?
Yeah.
Can I finish my thought?
Oh, sure. Go ahead, Adam.
Yeah, I agree with what you say, but I do think it keeps on blowing up in their faces the fact that they try to make a trade, right? There was Phoenix Suns first, then before the draft day,
Phoenix Suns?
They tried. Yeah, because wasn't it obvious that they were trying to make a trade with the Phoenix Suns last year before the trade deadline?
For who?
I'm not sure. It could have been Phoenix might have wanted OG Anunoby. It might have been a combination of Pascal and Fred even. Who knows? But they were at the game. Masai and Bobby were at the game in Phoenix, right?
Okay.
And the bench units, and they were taking notes.
Okay.
Right? They were taking notes on the bench units, right? They played 5 minutes, both benches, in the fourth quarter. Right? You don't remember that?
No.
Anyway,
I don't.
No. Yeah. Whatever happened, it sort of blew up. Maybe they thought Brooklyn would get worse, and maybe they thought, okay, let's go for Jakob. Maybe we can beat
I think you're thinking of the trade that took Kevin Durant from Brooklyn to Phoenix. Maybe is that around that time? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. Before Kyrie Irving wanted out,
So
I
in the
don't think
offseason,
Matt
Toronto-
Ishbia wanted OG Anunoby or Pascal Siakam. I mean, they had Mikal
But
Bridges.
Kevin Durant wasn't available at
Toronto
that time,
trying to
right?
get
It was
Kevin
just
Durant.
after. It was afterward. But
Okay.
you don't remember that
Right.
game, right? Masai and Bobby were at the Phoenix game. Anyway, I do
Was
think
it in
really-
Toronto?
I don't remember if it was in Phoenix or Toronto, but
Well, if it was in Toronto, it's a
but again,
non-issue.
you don't play. Both sides don't play a second and third units of their bench for 5 minutes in the fourth quarter. It doesn't happen.
Sure.
Okay. Anyway, then before the draft today, they have Pascal Siakam sort of blow up the Atlanta Hawks trade.
Sure.
And then they tried to trade for Damian Lillard over the summer. And then Damian Lillard didn't want to come to Toronto. So it's like 3 times, right? They tried to make a trade, it didn't work.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, I just wanted to make that point that they've sort of tried to do something, but
Yeah,
it's
but
just important that they make the right trade and they
at
get
the end of the day,
player
what
that
I'm hearing is that they are asking for the world, that they're haggling on the protection of picks, that they want to they're going to blow up a trade based on Kobe Buffkin being in it or not. And I mean, I understand it. You want to extract value, but at the same time, like Grayson Allen plus a pick for Fred VanVleet is a hell of a lot better than letting him walk for nothing. In theory, Grayson Allen does fit a need. He's a pesky defender. He's actually a dog, not a dog that I like very much, but he's a dog, And I mean, he shoots. He's a fucking shooter. Like why is that such a bad deal?
I mean, think about what Brooklyn got. Think about what Portland got for Dame, right? Compared to what the Raptors were offering. I get that you want to keep OG, Pascal, and all that core together. Like that behooves the Raptors to put that in with Dame. But I mean, think about what they got for him. I mean, they've not only got players, which then they traded. They got draft assets. Now they got more players, and they now have more players that they can trade. Brogdon just specifically, right? The Raptors didn't have any type of trade package that were going to yield anything close to that. So it wasn't about Dame not wanting to come to Toronto. It was the Blazers being like, "Holy!"
Well,
crap,
he didn't want to come to Toronto.
No, he didn't. He didn't. But I mean, it's also the organization didn't accept the trade.
If anyone wants to see like a really, really great asset map of how players were turned into better players, go look at the Boston Celtics. Go look at what they did and what they turned Aaron Nesmith and some expirings and Marcus Smart into. They literally have hit 10 out of 10 on everything so far, other than letting Grant Williams go. And I can understand it, why they let him go, but they've figured it out, man.
Funny thing too about the Boston Celtics, it was they gave Schroeder 4 months and then just
Yep. It was I think $5 million contract, and they just said, go fuck yourself.
Yeah, they're like, fuck, get the fuck out of here. We never want to see you again.
Yeah, they thought he could. They thought he could do a little bit of what Isaiah Thomas was used to do for them, or Kemba Walker, or whatever. And then they got him in the program and realized this guy is not Kyrie, Kemba, or thing. I will say one thing: when when Kyrie Irving was ruining the vibes, as I say in Boston, did anyone say, why is Jason Tatum not stopping this? I mean, Jason Tatum went through almost an identical year to Scottie Barnes year 2 and has had almost an identical ascent in year 3 without that player. The question is, where is his Jaylen Brown? Where is that guy that he's supposed to lean on and say, this guy's here with me? Sure. And if that's OG Anunoby, then God help you. But you need a priest. Yeah, you need guys. You need 4 or 5 guys that can be like, we're building this thing up for the next 4 years. You need 4 or 5 guys that are good. They're good players. And I do not count Malachi Flynn in this. Okay, guys who are good, guys who fit. Yep. I feel like Bobby Webster, and I could be wrong about this. I've never met him. It's maybe a bad reading. I've met Masai Ujiri. I've never met Bobby Webster. He strikes me as someone who sees one side of the coin, but maybe not so much the other side of the coin. And by that, I mean the numbers and the analytics and the trade and whatever, but maybe not so much the human side of it. And I think the human side of this is so very, very important here. Leaving guys in extended limbo for months and months and then expect them to buy into a new system because you're trying to hold out for assets is silly. At some point, you need to cut your losses, and fuck the ego, which tells you that you want to get the best deal or the best. You didn't get the best deal for Jakob Poeltl at all, because last I checked, the San Antonio Spurs have given out 5 very decent players over the years: Thaddeus Young, Jakob Poeltl, DeJounte Murray, Derek White, and DeMar DeRozan. These were all 5 guys who were there, okay?
Yep.
And they gave them all out to Eastern Conference teams. Promise you we got the 2 worst ones.
Mhm.
I promise you we got the 2 worst ones, and we paid exactly the same thing that the other teams did. They traded DeMar DeRozan away for Thaddeus Young plus a pick, I think. They traded DeJounte Murray for a couple of picks. Okay, I think it was a couple, 2-3 picks. They traded Derek White for 2 picks. Oh, we gave him 3 picks. I mean, granted, it's 2 second rounders and a first rounder for Jakob Poeltl. How are Jakob Poeltl and Derek White equivalent players in the NBA? They're not even close.
Oh.
They're not even close. DeJounte Murray and Jakob Poeltl are poles apart in terms of value. But leave it to this fucking team that resisted getting a center for years to finally get one and overpay for it. So it's like, you're not even winning the trades. What are you holding out on?
Well, it's wild because I think back to that Rudy Gay trade, right? I keep thinking, and I don't want to harp on
Accident.
it, but accident, exactly. Gravis Vasquez, Patrick Patterson, like these were sub 10 point. I mean, we could go into their stats. I posted it a million times, but like these guys were. It was about fit and about. I need to get rid of the guys that just don't fit with the core. And it wasn't about a pride thing. It wasn't about holding on to it. And now it's just getting to a point where it's like, all right, like I get that you drafted these guys. I get you that, like, come on. Like, where is that boldness that you brought in? That's what you were in Denver. That's where you were when you came to Toronto.
I feel like Masai versus Bobby as the GM are just like 2 different like breeds. Like they're just, I don't know. I feel like if Masai was still as that GM, I don't know for the day-to-day shit or like all that stuff that Bobby's doing as like the GM, whether it's like how far removed is Masai from it?
Probably pretty far removed. Yeah.
I feel like he's pretty far removed.
Yeah. Any final thoughts, man?
When you posed the question about why is there doesn't seem to be many people here who consider this home or have some security, and I just did a quick little research. Since 2018, so OG was drafted 2017, 2018 to 2013, 6 years, teams have a first rounder and a second rounder. Do you know how many players are contributing from 2018 draft class that we've drafted till now? Do you know how many players are contributing to us right now? One.
No.
One. Malachi Flynn doesn't count. Christian Koloko doesn't play. Grady Dick's not ready. With 12 picks, potential 12 picks, a first and a second rounder, we have one player.
In fairness, we traded a couple of those for
I get
Kawhi
you.
and
I get
Marc
you.
Gasol.
I get you, but it is what it is. The only people that consider your team home are the ones you draft. And you build them up.
That's not necessarily. Not necessarily. When Domantas Sabonis, interesting Domantas Sabonis trivia. He is currently 242 in value of a replacement career over career in NBA history. 242. No, there are no current Raptors in the top 250. I checked. Don't worry.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So 242. Guess who's 239? His dad, Arvydas Sabonis. Isn't that cool? He's on the precipice of he's on the precipice of passing his dad. So there goes the debate. They're the only two, I think, if I'm not mistaken, they're the only 2 father and son duos in the top 250. Del Curry is definitely not in the top 250. I wonder.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I think we need to stop trading picks. I think we need to stop doing that.
Well, here's the thing. Yes, we traded picks.
Contender. I think first rounders should only be traded by contenders.
Here's the thing. I think first rounders are overrated by fans, and I think they're underrated. I I think they're underrated by GMs. So it's like a polar opposite. Like if we traded OG right now and got back 2 first rounders, the media and the fans would be going crazy. Like, yeah, we rock. We got the future set up. They would have no consideration that those picks are going to be in weak drafts, late picks. They don't care. When people hear OG was almost traded last year to Memphis with 3 picks, they're like very, very, very pissed. But they do not realize how bad those 3 picks are. I don't want the 27th, 28th, and 30th pick in this draft. I don't care about that. Okay. I understand why people do. Yeah, but like I mean,
it's about
here's the
character.
thing.
It's
Like-
about character, right? Like you don't know. Rob, you've run film sets and stuff, right?
Mhm.
You run like film sets where you hire people on, right? Where they could in that casting point where they sell you on something, and then all of a sudden they are an issue later on, right? So it's like you could draft a whole bunch of people. You could draft people that are like
Mhm.
showed a lot of signs.
But here's the thing: conflict resolution is now it's on you. Okay. Now, first of all, luckily enough, film sets. I've never run a TV show. I've never been a showrunner, so I've never had to deal with people on an ongoing basis.
Yeah.
So it means if I fuck up and I cast the wrong person, I'm with you for 7 days, and then we say sayonara, and I never see you again. So that's okay. However, fair enough. I've run film festivals where we brought on a team member, and maybe I didn't like that team member or what they were doing. Now, in 2018, 2017, when I wasn't very good at dealing with people and I feel like I had a long way to go in terms of leadership, I struggled. I struggled confronting those issues, dealing with those issues, hearing the other person's side of the issue. But today, I feel like I've gotten a lot better at it. I address the issue directly. I confront it. I'm honest and I'm sincere about it. And I try to come up with a win-win solution to it. So if that win-win solution is they leave, that's okay. No grudge, no hostility. I have a keen sense of understanding how to try and listen to that person without trying to make them defensive. You know what I mean? So this is all conflict resolution. Now, approaching Pascal Siakam and getting him to buy into the defensive end is a conversation someone has obviously not had, or someone has had but has not been effective. It's the same thing with getting Dennis to be, quicker with his decisions and move off the ball quickly. Certainly he is capable of moving the ball. And today I saw a little bit of it, man. He passed it up in the first quarter. He's dribbling it up and he passed it up to Siakam to dribble up the court. Great. Finding an advantage in transition is something that he has routinely not done. So clearly someone has had a conversation with him that has sunk in. But getting Pascal Siakam to invest in a team that has tried to trade him multiple times is a very difficult conversation that Masai Ujiri, Bobby Webster, ultimately Darko Rajakovic, or whoever has had to have. And the conversation can't be, well, whatever will be, and you're here until you're here, and then you expect him to be diving for loose balls. It's just not going to happen. It's not going to fucking happen. And you can't expect, Thaddeus Young and Garrett Temple as this like, oh, they're old and they're here on 1-year contracts. They're not you can't replicate Udonis Haslam's presence in Miami just by hiring the oldest person in the league to be on your bench as a fucking babysitter.
Absolutely. People like vets that actually play too, right? That they can,
yeah,
that's a
absolutely.
big thing.
Yeah, like if they're not playing, like they can't really speak on.
Rob,
I wish
break
Otto wasn't injury prone. I wish Otto was just playing every fucking night. Like
he's not injured. He's been held out of the rotation multiple games while he was perfectly healthy.
I was gonna ask Rob. I was like, "What the hell is going on? Is this guy? Yeah, I feel like the Raptor, like the organization, they're really withholding a lot of information, right? I don't know what's going on. You didn't know what was going on with Otto because Coloco, there no update, won't say anything. It's so smoke and mirrors. I don't understand why they're just trying to sugarcoat it to the fan base right now and to the media. It's really kind of getting to a point where it's like, come on.
Is it a stealth tank? Like, is this
it's on Ben? It's not, you're not trying to hide Ben Simmons' injury and say that he's out for another 2 weeks. Like Coloco, like you got to give us something. Like you got to say something. But or Otto, like I thought Otto was supposed to be in the lineup 3 weeks ago. I mean, man, he
did play. He did play. He did play yesterday. He did play yesterday. In fairness, he did play. and we did lose. And I think he won his minutes. I think he was good. He hit a three or hit a couple threes. He was good. I think he provides sensibility on the court. He's a mature adult. You know, he's a person who plays good basketball. He's like a smart player. He doesn't need to take shots to be effective. He's great.
What was that lineup with Otto, Gary, Pascal, Barnes?
Have we ever seen that?
That was like 3 weeks ago, or was it 2-3 weeks ago? We've hardly seen that fucking lineup.
Yeah.
And that lineup though, they were good. They went on a run. They brought everything back, and you were like, holy shit, this was a stabilizing thing right here. Like this.
Oh, it's wild when you look up their most used lineups. How Dennis Schroeder is in like the top
when Dennis plays 32 minutes a
most
night,
used
he's going to be
lineups,
in a lot of lineups. It's him getting 32 minutes a night. It's a lot. It's a lot. There's only 48 minutes in a game, so he's going to be in there a bunch.
That's true.
That's true.
Absolutely. Yeah,
I mean, for Darko, that I sympathize with Darko because it's like there's 6 roster spots that are just useless right now. Grady can't provide anything. McDaniels is garbage. You have the 3 vets, and Otto, for whatever reason, is held out or whatever. Okay, so let's just say medical leave. That's 3. That's 2 more. Malachi Flynn's garbage, but he has to play. Like, it's just, what does he turn to? When he says who, like, I feel him, but it's also like you could play Gary more minutes than Dennis for starters. Not even to start, but it's like, why can't you just pull Dennis out at the 8-minute mark? Keep your starting lineup. Like, do your stubborn, I'm not giving you everything you want, but like a middle ground is sit Dennis at 8 minutes, bring Gary in for him. You know what I mean? Then sit.
Sean Churn with Embiid owns Toronto. Yo, get out of here with your fucking foul merchant. Fuck out of here.
I distinctly remember Marcus Gasol owning Embiid's ass.
We have.
I hope that guy gets diarrhea for like a week. You know, just
free throw merchant. Sorry, I said foul merchant. I meant free throw merchant. Fucking, it's an embarrassment to the game of basketball. Honestly, his foul baiting is an embarrassment to the game of basketball.
Embiid fell through my front door earlier tonight just so he could get a foul.
Straight up, dude. Like someone needs to create like, okay, this is a bulletproof idea for a viral video for somebody out there who has the energy and patience to do this. You know that video of Embiid kind of diving into the front row? Just do that, but like extend it through like a tunnel. And like have him just break through doors and break through a wall. Maybe like the Great Wall of China, he breaks through that. Maybe like have him dive over a shark, like just whoosh, and the shark is going under or something like that. Yo,
yeah,
it will go straight up viral. And it's like, is there anywhere that Embiid won't dive? Boom.
Bro,
viral video concept.
When he fucked up Scottie's ankle there in the first
Bro,
playoffs.
he does this shit all the time. He's 300 pounds. He's stepping on people's heads. He's fucking diving into people's ankles. He's stepping on people's feet. Fuck him. I do not like Joel Embiid. He's not a player that I respect at all. I don't give a shit
why
until he
Pascal
doesn't
trip him. Like, I was like, fucking beat.
Here's the thing. I don't support dirty play regardless.
No.
I don't care. Like if Joel Embiid is on the court and you punch him in the balls, I don't support you for that. I don't think 2 wrongs make a right, you know? So that's just me. So no, tripping Joel Embiid is not okay for me. It's never good because I mean these guys their bodies are their livelihood, right? You trip a guy, you could derail their entire career. You know what I mean? Like I mean, Al Horford, you know, technically derailed TJ Ford's career with that foul. Like, I don't know if it was dirty. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. I don't know. Al Horford seems like a pretty solid dude, but like that was a tough foul. And I mean, shit, like that's TJ Ford's entire year, and then subsequently his career. He's coaching now, so you know, and he was a really good player. So I feel for that. It's really messed up. Anyway,
you gotta have respect for like the other players too. Like Embiid is just that's some dangerous shit. Some of the stuff he does, man. Like.
Yeah, Sean Churn, you can hate, but it's just skilled at drawing fouls, and Pascal is dirty. He injured him before in 2022.
When he took out Danny Green?
Shut up. He took out your own fucking teammate, Danny Green. He dove right into his thing, and then y'all did Danny Green dirty. Yo, did Danny Green dirty. You fucking waved him. Come on, man.
Danny Green is a legend though. Like as a 3-and-D guy, like he is a
I do not support anything about the Philadelphia 76ers at all. From their general manager to their front office, to their head coach, to their backup point guard, Pat Bev. The only thing I like about them is Tyrese Maxey. That's it.
Absolutely. That's it. I heard the Sixers podcast saying what they were going to offer for OG, and it was ridiculous. it was 2 picks and a pick swap in 2031, and I think it was what was this, Morris, his expiring, and they thought it was a good deal for the Raptors. And
I've seen a lot of these, too late firsts in 2028. I think Raptor fans might be sorely disappointed if they're expecting like Benedict Mathurin plus 2 picks and shit like that. Like it might not be that rich an offer, but at this point, I would just take like a young player and a pick.
Yeah, that are locked in that you could grow with. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
And I'm not necessarily sold on trading OG. I would much prefer to trade Pascal.
Yeah, 100%.
I agree.
If you can get somebody that spaces the floor.
I mean, OG spaces the floor.
But
And honestly, like I have seen some very encouraging growth curves from OG this year. I've seen some increased finishing ability. I've seen some better knowledge of where his body is on the basketball court. I've seen some better creation. I mean, he's just not playing super well right now, but I think he's massively underperforming what he can do. And I think
he started the year with better handles than he had.
He started great. He started fantastically. He was our second best player for the first 6 to 7 games easily.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, after that, he came back from the injury, kind of derailed him a little bit. I think it's indisputable that Precious Achiuwa has been one of our top 5 players through the month of December, which is crazy to say and probably why we're so bad, but it's true. Not taking anything away from him. Scottie has definitely been one of our 2 best players or our best player pretty much every single day of this year.
I think he's been our best player.
He has been. He has been unquestionably the best player. Even when his usage went down and Siakam's went up, he continued to be a better player than Siakam because of what he was contributing defensively and as a passer. So it's really like it's
following. He still is there, like anchored on the defensive end. You know? He's like,
yeah.
I don't know.
Lane, any thoughts, man?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think we just all summed this whole conversation up to it's a clusterfuck of issues that have just been kicked down the road year after year from 2020 to 2021 to 2022 to now 2023 going into 2024, and we're having to face all these issues at the same time. I don't know. I do trust Masai. I mean, we have a top 3 young player in the league. Like that's non-debatable. I personally think he's number 2 right behind Luka, right? So top 3 is non-debatable. So it's not doom and gloom. Like if we didn't have Scottie, obviously it's going to look a lot worse. But we've just been kicking issues down the road year after year. We've been kicking problems down the road year after year. And now we're just facing the consequences of our actions. Well, not our actions, but our front office's actions as a fan base. I know that's a super boring kind of cliche take, but I mean, like, that's pretty much all you can say at this point.
Or like inaction, maybe?
Yeah. No, absolutely.
That's exactly it.
That is it. My girlfriend's iPhone just died, so I was taking the internet off of her phone.
Well, I'm going to drop, but thank you so much, Rob, for having me on.
Yeah, no, apparently my Wi-Fi is working now, so Rogers has let me on, but thank you so much, James, for coming on. Really appreciate it.
Can't believe Rogers is the good person out of this whole structure,
But they're definitely
Rogers
bad because they were giving me all
they're
sorts
the worst.
They are the worst. They were giving me all sorts of internet issues, and they've been giving it to me all month. So yeah,
it's Edward.
Right back at you. But thank you so much.
Cheers, man. Have a Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, everybody. Take care.
Sorry, Lane. You were saying something?
Oh yeah, my bad. I was just saying how it's kind of cliche and it's a super, super boring take, but like this is just the consequences of the front office's actions, just kicking issues down the road.
Yeah.
And when they do take action on said issues, such as getting a center. Not only do they do it too late, but they do it too aggressively. I don't know.
Fair enough.
It just feels like we're running on a treadmill. You know, like it says
Yeah.
ran like 100 miles, but in reality, we're just running in place. And unfortunately, we're going under when a lot of teams are going up. The only saving grace to this whole thing is we have a top three young player in the league right now.
Facts. And I mean, look, like, are we in any worse position than the San Antonio Spurs? Yeah, from a picks perspective, we're in a way worse position.
Yeah.
But if you actually do get young assets and picks back for Scottie, not for Scottie, wow, for Pascal, then you're in a pretty good space. You know, if you were to trade Gary for, you know, a rotation player, like, I've never known this front office to be completely afraid to blow it up until now. Now I'm getting worried. But they weren't afraid to blow it up with Kyle and DeMar back then, right? Those guys were both going to get traded. Rudy Gay was gone. They wanted to rebuild it. So at this point, it's like, yo, you have a player that's much better than any of those guys.
So you
have real incentive to rebuild.
Yeah, so something really, really funny about that, and I'm going to relate this to what I do for baseball, just talking to college coaches and all that, and talking to guys that I've coached that have gone on to the next level, is when new coaches or like new front offices or management, athletic directors come in, they do not give a shit about the guys that are already there, right? That's maybe why they were so quick to blow it up with Kyle and DeMar, because none of those guys were brought in under Masai, right? So it was like
I mean, technically, Masai was here as an assistant GM when Kyle was brought in.
Right.
In fairness.
But it wasn't his guy, quote unquote. So
fair enough.
These are his guys. So it's a little bit harder to lose his guys for pennies on the dollar, maybe. And you're right. They are coming off.
But it's not pennies on the dollar. I mean, look, man, like, I mean, I like OG a lot. But is he a top 5 small forward in the NBA?
Yeah, but he looks a lot better if he's under a 3 or 4 year contract.
Sure, but that's where he was 3 years ago.
I know.
It's like it's like the same thing with Pascal. Like, you could sell yourself on Pascal being a top 4, top 3 type of power forward in the NBA. That's look. At the end, if I think something is worth something and anyone that I could reasonably sell to or want to sell to disagrees, then the price is the price.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what I think it's worth. It just matters. And so at the end of the day, you know, you can sit there and hold your prized possessions because you're comfortable with them and you have no incentive to move off of them. But I'm seeing empty seats. I'm seeing a declined interest in this product. And I'm seeing 2 guys who can easily write their ticket to max contracts to anywhere. You have no leverage with players who can get a max. That's the problem. You have no leverage because you can't really offer them much more. And of course, any leverage you would have had as a team like in Florida or Texas where there's no tax, you don't even have that. Right. So there's a team out there that can offer Pascal or OG more than you in theory based on, you know, tax effectively. And market and opportunities. What if one of these guys ends up in LA or something, you know? So it's like, you really got to think long and hard about the risk you're willing to take on. You need to be in a great place with both players. I don't think you're in a great place with either player right now. Probably in a little bit better place with OG, but I don't think they're in a great place with Pascal at all right now.
No, not at all.
Why would they be? They tried to trade him multiple times. Who were they going to trade for Kevin Durant? Who were they going to trade for Dame Lillard? Who were they going to trade for fucking, the Hawks package? It's been him every single time. And if he's gotten wind of this, what incentive does he have to be loyal to them? There's none. So I don't get it. Yeah.
No, neither do I. And yeah, I mean, just the blind loyalty. And that's not saying these guys aren't good players. Like they're great players, you know? But I mean, you have to give up good to get good. And you also have to realize like everything has its shelf life. You know, really good players have their shelf life. Really good coaches have their shelf life. Really good front offices have their shelf life. So are you going to sacrifice your shelf life for players? You know, like that's kind of the message. If Masai was on this call right now, that's why I was telling him. It's like, are you going to sacrifice your legacy or your potential future here for a bunch of guys who are going to probably take 35 to 40, $45 million contracts in the offseason?
Hey, Lane, we are here to win. We're going to win here. We're going to win, and we're going to win in Toronto. Believe in yourself. We're going to win here. We are the winners. We believe in winning. We're not selfish. There will be no selfishness. We are going to build a winner here. Here, now Masai's on the call for you.
Now he is. And to that, I would say, why is Dennis still on the roster?
Bro.
Because he's a winner. He won in Germany. He won on the airplane. He won in Los Angeles, and he's going to win here. You need to have patience, Lane. You need to evaluate.
Messiah, I won a free throw contest back in the 5th grade. Does that make me a winner?
Yes.
Absolutely. Believe in yourself. Believe in your city. Believe in yourself, Lane.
The funny thing was, in the 4th quarter, when the lead was cut to our lead was cut to 3, Darko looked at the bench and called Dennis like he was Chris Paul on the Hornets. I just laughed.
Facts.
Bro, he called Dennis. You got to get in there. Like, what is
That was-
he gonna do? Are you serious?
Scottie took 1 3, and it was just like, oh my God, Dennis,
Dennis,
come on in.
back, save us. I'm like, yo, this dude's out to lunch, bro.
Yeah, and I mean, I get it too. Like,
Dennis.
And to my point, like you just brought up a great point. Like it's the same thing. Like Dennis is Darko's guy. Like he's gonna show blind loyalty to him because he's his guy. Like if that was Fred VanVleet from let's say that Darko's was our coach last year, right? Fred's not Darko's guy. Do you think Darko's gonna show him this amount of blind loyalty? No, but Nick Nurse did, right? The same way of now, Dennis Schroeder is getting that blind loyalty from Darko because he's his guy.
I mean, look, Dennis and Fred have one very interesting thing in common, which I find both players to be extremely manipulative. And manipulative people have a way to cozy up to coaches. Every single time I see a practice, I see Dennis sitting there with, one assistant coach or another assistant coach, right? It's the same thing with Fred. I saw it with Fred last year with Nate, with Nick, with Earl. He was just there. He was like he was a coach. You know what I mean?
Where's Nate, Rob? Where's Nate?
Where is Nate right now?
Is
he in Philly?
Nope.
Good question. I don't know. That's a great question. Why is he not with him? Rico Hines is in Philly.
Yep.
God, I wish we would have
kept who?
Rico.
I don't.
No, I'm good.
Really? Not big.
No, not a big Rico Hines fan. Maybe it's correlation and causation, whatever. But I feel like there's a lot of individuality in his messaging.
I wanted scorched earth on that coaching staff last year.
I get that. I think Rico speaks from like the get it out the mud perspective a lot because like he's a guy that had to do it. Kind of like same way as Fred VanVleet like did not. I don't know.
Everyone knows this is a business. Everybody knows that. Everyone knows the business is of numbers and numbers get you paid. I get it. It's a dirty system.
Yeah.
But winning also gets you paid. So at the end of the day, if everything is about getting paid, then you can motivate guys by either winning and getting paid or getting numbers and getting paid. Now, when winning goes out the door because you blow 7 games and you fall 7 games under 500, then everyone looks around and says, okay, so either I'm going to be the guy who's averaging 5 points per game on a team that's 10 games under 500, or I'm going to be the guy who's averaging 15 points per game on the team. This is exactly what everyone is going through right now. And this gets expanded and compounded when you don't have guys with long-term contracts. It just happens to be that way. Anyways, this live would and probably could go on forever, but I want to give Coach Mo any final word, and then TY, and then we're out.
Yeah, I got nothing to say.
Cool.
TY?
Yeah, I feel like fan anxiety is like a dangerous thing in a lot of ways. I do think we're in a good spot in the sense that like we have a generational talent in Scottie Barnes. He's arguably the best draft pick that we've ever. He's probably the best person we've drafted since Vince Carter. And I think that we just have to give it a little bit of time. Things like are gonna always play out the way that they're gonna play out. Like we as like being outside observers and people that consume the sport, consume the games, watch it. Obviously, we're emotionally invested in it, right? But there's a lot of factors behind everything that obviously have to play their part. Whether Pascal gets traded or whatever, like things take time. But I do believe that I don't think that Scottie's going anywhere anytime soon. I read a article the other day, like his family, like I'm part Jamaican. I'm Jamaican and Irish. Scottie is like Jamaican. I don't know if it's like his family's full Jamaican, but a lot of his
just on his dad's side.
Sorry,
he's just Jamaican on his dad's side. His dad's Jamaican.
So on his dad's side, but he has family here, you know. So I don't think that he's going anywhere. If we just make him really feel like we're not gonna quit on him, that like if this is his team and we do it. I don't think
you don't dangle him for Dame. You don't dangle him for Katie. I think we've done a pretty good job of that.
I think we've done a pretty good job. I think he's going to be here for a long time, and we just have to put the right pieces around him.
Agreed. Adam, any final thoughts?
No, I'm just going to be optimistic that, something's going to eventually change, either by December 30, either before the trade deadline, and then we'll see what happens then.
Cool. I want to wish y'all a very Merry Christmas if you celebrate it. Happy holidays if you don't celebrate Christmas. Spend time with your families.
I want to
not
say
forever. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, sir.
Darvin Ham started a center, 3 power forwards, and a small forward. Come on, Darko.
Small ball. I mean,
come on, Darko. Come
on. Okay, yeah, that's fair. Vanderbilt.
Physical prototype, because according to Darko, LeBron James might get pressured up the court. So,
we're not comparing LeBron James and Scottie Barnes in terms of ball handling skills, are we? We're not being straight up with that, right?
We need release. We need. Yeah. I like short guys dribbling.
No, I get you. Anyways, on that note, wish y'all a very, very happy holidays. I'll probably do a live on Christmas, maybe. I don't know. I don't think we're going to do one tomorrow. I got to do some Christmas shopping. I haven't bought gifts for anybody like an asshole. I'm being super last minute with everything, but
I did that. Don't drive to Eaton Center. Don't do it. Don't use.
I don't intend to. All gifts will be from Goodwill.
All right, good.
Yep. I gotta recycle, or Kijiji, or Craigslist, or some shit like that. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. So, anyways, I want to wish y'all thank you all for coming on, having this lively discussion. Thank you to all the callers who called in today. It was an interesting bag. We had a lot of people who had a lot to say, I guess. I'm hoping for better things for the Raptors going forward. I hope there's a trade. I really hope there's a lineup change. But regardless, we're stuck with this team.
December 30.
Yeah. All right. Cheers, guys. Have a good one. Yeah. All right. Very lively discussion today. This is just a reminder to every single person. What, 44? You're kidding me. There's 44 likes on this video? That would be crazy. Don't even joke. There have been over 1,000 people here throughout the night, and you're telling me there's 44 likes? I doubt that that's true. But God, even if it's not true, go like the video. And Merry Christmas and Detroit basketball. Thank you. YourGoat. Yeah. So I just want to. Okay. Cool. Sweet. Thank you very much. I can't even do that. Anyways, I just want to say I will try to add timestamps to this video. If someone wants to go and do it for me, I would be much obliged, and I'll pin your comment. But if no one's going to do it, I'll do it at some point. I realize these videos are very long, and sometimes they can become very, very exhausting, especially if you don't like a particular caller and you just want to skip ahead. You don't know where to skip to, where the conversation can become very annoying. I have been thinking a lot about Spotify. I do want to get this. I do want to get this on Spotify because I've noticed the amplifying effect of being on Twitter. I wasn't on Twitter last year much or at all. Was I on Twitter last year? And this year, like, we're having certain posts that blow up with like 500, 600 likes and 100 retweets and shit like that. I'm like, that's cool. Great. Why have I not been doing this for 3 years now? So yeah, so just getting across to different platforms and stuff. But yeah, I want to wish y'all who support this community a happy holidays. Thank you to everyone who continues to watch these lives up until 2 a.m. at night, which is really great. Oak Tree, thank you. Appreciate you, man. We keep doing your thing, Rob. We got you like Scottie got us. Thank you. Appreciate it. And, to all the super chats, even the trolley ones today, starting with Ken Boo and, good, Good Eye and LeVar Ball. Thank you guys so much. Means a lot. Helps this channel out a lot. And, to Salvatore Russo / Diego / whatever, peace. I hope you have a great Christmas too. And, spend some time with your family if you have a family. All right. Take care. And yes, absolutely. I'm going to remind you guys on Christmas as well, but on Christmas Day, votes count 3 times. I have not given up on getting Scottie to the All-Star game, regardless of how terribly this team is doing, because he deserves it and he deserves your vote. It takes 15 to 20 seconds, really, every single day to do it. Make multiple counts. Do it. Once again, a reminder, stop voting for other front court players that have a chance to get in. Just don't do it. No Tatums, no Giannis's, no Embiid's, and probably no Siakams and no Randalls. Okay? So just vote Scottie. Literally leave the rest of your ballot blank. He's the only player on this team that deserves to go to the All-Star game. Okay. So thank you so much, Bert. Really appreciate that, man. Thank you. I've been a long time commenter on this channel. I always see your comments. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. All right. Oh shit. Thank you. That's so helpful. I'm going to do the timestamps right now. Okay. I'll pin your comment and I'll copy and paste it and add the timestamps in. Yeah. Thank you. And yes, Leanne saying Merry Christmas, everyone. Yes, and keep voting for Toronto. On Christmas Day, comment below once this video goes live what you would like me to talk about on Christmas Day. Obviously, we won't be talking about the Raptors game because there is no game on Christmas Day because the Raptors are not relevant on the national media space. To be able to do that. Zazu. Oh man, hey, what's going on, bro? Come to the cookout space. We cook and Rob. All right. I'm gonna see what I can do. My phone's got some charge. Probably drop by. I mean, shit, y'all cooking at 2 a.m. That's crazy. Yeah. Anyways, y'all take care. Have a great one. And comment below once this video goes live what you'd like to talk about on Christmas Day. Would you like to talk about favorite Christmas movies? Would you like to talk about favorite basketball movies? I would love to talk about my favorite basketball movies. Cheat sheet. Eddie is my favorite basketball movie. No, it's not. Above the Rim. Above the Rim. Above the Rim. Sunset Park. There's a lot of good ones. Like Mike ain't it. And Space Jam ain't it. But, we could talk about favorite basketball movies. We can talk about whatever. We just have a community sort of, chat. And this community has meant a lot to a lot of you and to me for sure. So yeah, I would love to spend at least like an hour of my Christmas Day with y'all. So let me know what that TY saying Above the Rim is really good. I agree. 100%. It's an awesome movie. It's haunting, actually. Tupac was friggin' incredible. Bernie Mac, shout outs, rest in peace, both of those guys. Yeah, man. Just shit, the acting. It's incredible. Anyways. Use the built-in marker in StreamYard. No, I don't. And someone said you can accept super chats in StreamYard. That's crazy. Get a 1080p camera tomorrow. So I think that the version of StreamYard that I have only allows for 720p, and I'd have to pay like $20 more, and I'm being cheap ass by not, doing that. Or maybe my camera literally is 720p. In fairness, I do have 2 film cameras that I could easily use for this that could make my content look a lot better. I don't know. Does my face matter that much to any of you? It doesn't matter to me. I think it's like a spitting in the face of vanity. You know what I mean? Like I'm not well lit. I'm not on a good camera, and I don't care. But maybe someone out there cares. Maybe I don't know. I've never met somebody who looked at the podcaster's face and was like, this guy's face is a little greeny and whatever. Exactly. I agree. Exactly. That's exactly it. I don't care. The marker helps with making sure it's in for timestamps. That's exactly it. I mean, I know a ton of people who barely like watch the content. They just literally listen to it. And then if I'm flashing something on the screen, like, hey, look at this, they'll look at the thing. So I don't really know. Anyways. Fair enough, Zazu. Yeah, it's like I've done higher quality video content before, but I mean, yeah, it's just been since I moved that office to this one, I've just been not wanting to use because the setup is just such, I don't know. Well, sir, you may be a very pretty person, but I am not a pretty person. So I don't really think anyone is here to look at my face. It's like as my boy Jack Armstrong says, right? It's like the mug, right? So yeah. Anyways. Oh, thank you so much. It's incredibly impromptu. Like everything is very impromptu. But yeah. Yeah, okay. Thanks. All right. Peace, guys. Have a great one. Make sure to hit like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And if you're feeling insomniac, go check out Zazu's Twitter space. I'm probably gonna pop on for like 10 minutes after I go to the washroom and drink some water. All right. Peace, guys. Take care. And a big shout out to my girlfriend for allowing me to stream off of her phone using her Wi-Fi because Rogers was fucking up. All right. Peace.